In my past life, my 8-year-old sister got bitten by a snake while playing recklessly. When I found her, I tied her leg with a shoelace and carried her to find Dad and Grandma working in the fields. Grandma slapped me when she heard. Convinced I'd deliberately walked too slowly, she told Dad to suck out the venom with his mouth immediately, but I desperately tried to stop him, though I succeeded in stopping it. My sister suffered permanent brain damage from being brought to town too late, leaving her with severe lifelong disabilities. Despite saving their lives, the whole family came to despise me. They broke my legs, bound me hand and foot, and abandoned me in the mountains. In the end, I died from a venomous snake bite in those mountains. When I opened my eyes again, I'd been reborn on the day my sister was bitten. Having lived through a past life, I no longer treated my sister by the book. Grandma kept insisting, "Hurry, just suck the venom out with your mouth." Watching my sister chase cicadas through the overgrown field, I stood by the field's edge, nails digging deep into my palms. My knees could still bend, my ankles firmly supporting my body. I realized I was reborn. The dull thud of a hoe striking earth echoed in the distance as Grandma and Dad toiled with their heads down. My gaze returned to my younger sister as I spoke coldly. "Little sis, there might be a big cicada over there, but the grass is too thick. Could be snakes. Better not go." My name is Stella. My family always wanted a son, but their second child turned out to be another daughter. When my sister was born, a fortune teller declared she'd grow into a stunning beauty destined for wealth and glory. That single prophecy completely reshaped my standing in the family. Though both daughters, my sister became the treasured pearl in their palms while I was the wild child they scolded and slapped at will. Spoiled rotten by the whole family, my sister grew up greedy, willful and downright unreasonable. She'd deliberately defy me, darting into the bushes the moment I spoke. I smirked. Since they wouldn't listen to warnings, let them get bitten by the snake this time. I won't stop it. I ignored her, my head tilted in her direction but my gaze fixed elsewhere. Beyond studying, my duties consisted of chores and looking after my younger sister. To them, I was nothing but my sister's servant. Sometimes even breathing felt like a transgression. If they caught me not watching my sister, they'd twist my ears and scold me. Soon, my sister came tumbling out of the bushes, scowling with her teeth bared, her dark face flushed with anger. I turned a blind eye. "Go kill that snake inside." She tilted her chin toward the grass, barking orders at me. My eyes went straight to her grimy ankles, where 2 tiny puncture wounds oozed beads of blood. I froze for a few seconds. "Little sister, did a snake bite you? Go get revenge for me." That's just like my little sister, a sore loser who always bosses me around to vent her frustration, never treating me like an elder sister. I wore a worried expression. "No way, sis, you could die. We must get Dad to take you to the doctor." My sister shoved me away angrily and ran toward Dad and Grandma. I stood up, pondering for a few seconds. Strenuous activity accelerates venom circulation, hastening its effects. In my past life, I forcibly tied my sister's shoelaces while pinning her down, then carried her on my back while calling for Dad and Grandma. My scrawny frame struggled under her weight as I carried her. My sister yanked my hair in petty revenge, clenching my teeth through the pain. I never loosened my grip until we reached Dad and Grandma, only to be met with harsh scolding and my sister's false accusations. Coming to my senses, I ran after them. My sister was crying while I chased and shouted, "Dad, Grandma, my sister got bitten by a snake. My sister's been bitten by a snake." The louder I spoke, the more my little sister would scream to drown me out. "You little brat, bullying your sister again, aren't you?" Seeing me chasing after her, Grandma immediately assumed I was picking on my sister again. My sister buried her face in Grandma's arms and burst into loud sobs. "Granny, big sister's bullying me." She even tried to hit me, hearing my sister's shameless lies. I slowed my steps and stole a wary glance at Grandma. Her face turned thunderous, eyes like daggers piercing through me. She marched over, pinched my waist viciously, and hurled curses that landed as hard as her spit-flecked words. "Useless brat, we feed and clothe you, and this is how you treat your little sister." I instinctively hunched away. "Grandma, I didn't. You wretched girl, how dare you talk back? If you were half as obedient as your sister, I wouldn't be this furious." The moment I spoke, Grandma slapped me across the face. She glared at me with eyes that could devour me alive, choking back sobs. I turned to Dad and cried urgently, "Papa, Pearl insisted on playing in the bushes and got bitten by a snake. We need to get her to the hospital now." Grandma and Dad were horrified. Grandma yanked my ear, shrieking, "You worthless brat, you didn't tell us immediately when your sister got bitten. Were you trying to kill Pearl?" With my hair disheveled from the pulling, I bit my lip hard and retorted, "I did scream for help. You just only listened to Pearl's voice." My eyes lifted, tears the size of peas welling up. Grandma and Dad froze simultaneously, their scolding cut short. 2 tiny puncture wounds marked my sister's leg. "Looks like this snake's venomous." Grandma panicked and exclaimed, "Oh dear, quick, suck the venom out with your mouth, that'll fix it." In a tender voice, Grandma gently guided Pearl to sit. "Come, Pearl, have a seat." I stood nearby clenching my fists when Grandma, who'd been so gentle moments ago, turned her gaze toward me. What are you waiting for? Suck the poison out for your sister. I remained completely still at first. Just like in my past life, they first ordered me to suck the poison from my sister's filthy, thick, blackened leg. I knew sucking venom with my mouth would poison me, so I desperately refused. Then Grandma made Father do it instead. I tried with all my might to stop them, only to meet a gruesome end. With grave concern, I said firmly, Dad, Grandma, don't suck the poisoned blood. We must get her to the hospital immediately. Grandma's hand came down heavily again. If you won't suck it out, I'll beat you until you do. Feigning reluctant compliance, I suddenly changed my stance and crouched beside my sister's leg, asked cluelessly, how do you inhale this? My sister suddenly let out a blood-curdling scream. No, no, big sister's trying to kill me. The moment my sister started crying, Grandma shoved me aside. My hand landed on a jagged clod of dirt, the sharp edges digging painfully into my palm. Get away, that wretched girl might just get our Pearl killed. Son, hurry and suck the venom from Pearl's leg with all your strength until the blood runs clear. Father kept nodding as he pressed his lips to the snakebite wound, drawing out the poison. I clung to my feet, my expression growing cold. In my past life, they always favored my sister over me. They'd dismiss everything I said, yet hang on her every word, even when she was being downright nasty. Though I only ever wanted what's best for her, they all assumed I meant her harm. Was 8 years old really that young, at that age? I was already doing everything myself while my sister got to live carefree. If they're convinced everything I do hurts her, then fine, I'll just stop trying altogether. Go ahead, suck it. You really love her, don't you? Then let's die together. Dad kept sucking out the black poison blood until he saw clean blood. Then he stopped. Father wiped the dark blood from his lips while Grandma happily soothed my little sister. They were the real family, I was just the outsider. After rinsing his mouth, Dad went back to work. My sister went sprinting down the field path. Grandma kept glancing up at her with a smile. Then I heard her talking about me to Dad. That wretched girl's up to no good. I tell you, look how happy Pearl is playing. Son, don't you take her seriously. What's the use of book learning when she just uses it to torment Pearl? She'll be married off sooner or later. Might as well have her work more before then. Earn extra for Pearl's dowry so we can live comfortably. Dad turned his gaze to me, hesitating as if deep in thought. I stared at him pleadingly, my eyes begging, perhaps out of pity. Father responded coldly with a single line, we'll discuss it after this semester ends. My head drooped in disappointment, heading home at dusk. Mom was cooking in the kitchen, so I went to help, being so helpful today, afraid I'd scold you. Mom glanced sideways at me while slicing pork strips. I muttered heavily, no, because whether it happened or not, I'd get blamed regardless. As the meat strips hit the pan, rising steam blurred the disgust in her eyes. How come your sister got bitten by a snake and you didn't? What exactly were you watching? Head bowed over the vegetables, I muttered. I warned my sister not to go near the overgrown area, but she insisted. Then why didn't you go with her? You could have pulled her away if you'd seen the snake. I shot to my feet, a chill piercing straight through my heart. She never listens to me anyway. Or do you wish it was me who got bitten instead? My mother paused chopping vegetables, shot me a glare, and fell silent. The aromatic meal was soon ready. I helped serve dishes and set the table. Grandma went to call my younger sister for dinner. After setting the table, I went to call Dad for dinner. Dad was exhausted from work tonight and went straight to bed after coming home. I couldn't wake him up. I already knew it was the snake venom taking effect. Have you seen Pearl? Grandma asked me. Grandma suddenly realized something and scolded lightly. That little rascal probably followed some delicious smell and is eating at someone's house. That's just how my sister is, spoiled rotten. She does whatever she pleases, mooching meals left and right without caring whether people mind. Grandma would praise her as a clever little imp, a foodie kitten who'd grow up to be a gourmet. Only I knew my sister might have collapsed somewhere. In her past life, she was bitten by a banded kite. Our teacher explained that banded kites are common but highly venomous, though they rarely attack humans, unless someone provokes them. My sister's practically asking for trouble. Mom came out of the kitchen, taking off her apron, and asked when she saw the empty seat, "Didn't you go wake your father?" I replied, "Dad's already asleep." I couldn't wake him. Half doubting, she walked into the room to wake my father. Dad was sleeping on his side and wouldn't wake no matter how we called. Mom just let it be and muttered under her breath, honestly, like father like daughter. She took out a plate and portioned out some dishes, too. I ate quietly without speaking, keeping my head down. After cleaning up from dinner, I went to my room to do homework. Before long, a neighbor rushed in shouting that something had happened to my sister. She'd collapsed by the roadside. They carried my sister in, her eyes tightly shut, completely unresponsive to our calls. Grandma and Mom wore panicked expressions. A neighbor asked in confusion, "This lively child always bounces around. How could she collapse by the roadside? Did she eat something bad?" Grandma's gaze immediately snapped to me, sharp with suspicion. "What have you done now?" My sister's dark complexion made her expression unreadable. "Nothing. I've been helping out since I got back." Grandma clearly didn't buy my story. I stammered. "Could the snake venom be taking effect? Worthless brat?" What kind of curse is that? Bitten by a snake, Grandma and the neighbor spoke simultaneously. Grandma said darkly, yes, it was this wretched girl who took Pearl to play in the weeds. Pearl got bitten by a snake, but thankfully the venom was sucked out and she's fine now. The neighbor frowned. Didn't you take her to the hospital? Grandma chuckled. The blood's clean now. What's the point of going to the hospital? The neighbor immediately checked the girl's breathing and lifted her eyelids to examine her eyes. What a fool. Snake bites require anti-venom. Get them to the hospital while they're still breathing. Grandma froze, not comprehending the meaning. Mom also stood stunned before snapping back to reality and rushing into the room. Kenneth seems to be poisoned too. The whole house was thrown into chaos in an instant. The neighbors quickly gathered some people to rush the injured to the town clinic. Squished in the corner of the minivan, I watched the scenery whizzing by and asked, aren't we going to a proper hospital? My grandmother immediately shot me a venomous glare and cursed, you're the one who should have been bitten by that snake. How wicked can a child be? Do you want your father and Pearl to die on the road? I kept staring out the window and fell silent. In my past life, I'd warned them to go to the county hospital for the Crite anti-venom, but they thought the trip took too long. The delayed treatment left permanent damage. Every time I reminded them, they blamed me. This time, let's follow your plan and try the town clinic, see if we survive. At the clinic, the doctor kept asking what kind of snake venom it was. Grandma said anxiously, how would I know? The child was playing in the fields and wandered into the tall grass. It's all that wretched girl's fault. Grandma yanked me hard. Tell us, what did the snake look like? In my past life, I'd kept my eyes on my sister, so I knew exactly what snake it was. I never actually saw it myself, yet I told them all about it. All I saw were flickering patches of black and white. Examining the bite marks, the doctor identified it as a Crite bite and said gravely, the anti-venom is only available at the county hospital. Given how long it's been since the bite, getting there in time might. Grandma cried out, that can't be, we sucked out the venom ourselves. Her father went straight back to working the fields like nothing happened, and my sweet granddaughter was bouncing around just fine. The doctor frowned at them, barely containing his anger as he said, the first thing to do after a snake bite is to squeeze out the venom, but never suck it with your mouth. That could poison the rescuer too. And don't move vigorously after being envenomed, or you'll accelerate the toxins spread through your bloodstream. The doctor turned away. A Crite's venom kills within 4 to 5 hours. With 2 or 3 already gone, there's almost no window left for treatment. With lives hanging in the balance and the patient still clinging to life, the clinic dispatched an ambulance to rush her to the county hospital. The younger sister drew her last breath just as they neared the county hospital. Dad also went into shock and was immediately rushed to the emergency room for treatment, receiving anti-venom injections and gastric lavage, but Dad didn't make it. He passed away. My sister died from snake venom poisoning. Dad succumbed to indirect snake venom exposure while trying to save my sister. Mom collapsed onto the freezing floor, wailing hysterically. I stood nearby with my head bowed, occasionally wiping away tears. My anguish wasn't for losing Dad and my little sister. It was pity for my past self in another life. After saving their lives, I still got beaten for it. This lifetime, I'll watch their ignorance and defiance be their downfall. Grandma never expected this outcome. Remembering my words, she fixed me with a piercing stare. I knew exactly what that look meant. I threw myself into Mom's arms and wailed hysterically, Mama, tell me it's not true. Did I really lose Dad and little sis? I warned Grandma not to suck the venom out. It's poisonous. Why wouldn't anyone listen to me? The deaths of her husband and youngest daughter had left permanent scars on Mother's heart. My desperate sobbing finally made her suppressed grief erupt like a volcano. With bloodshot eyes, she screamed at Grandma through tears. Mom, she went to school. The teachers taught her this. When lives are at stake, how could you ignore her warning? Grandma stood frozen, her face deathly pale, then began flailing her limbs wildly while shrieking in retort. How was I supposed to know? That's exactly how they did it on TV, and those people turned out just fine. You know that's just television, pure fiction. If you'd listened to your granddaughter, Kenneth, and Pearl would still be alive. Grandma's temper flared as murky tears burst forth. My son's dead. Pearl's dead. All our wealth gone. All because that wretched girl didn't stop them. She should have fought tooth and nail to hold them back. Mom shoved me away abruptly. I tried to stop her, but Grandma threatened to beat me to death if I didn't suck out the poison blood. Mom, I sobbed. She stared at me with tears streaming down her face. I'm the only child she has left. She'll need my help more in the days to come. Could only bury my face and weep bitterly. We held joint funeral services for Dad and my sister. Seeing our family in distress, the neighbors all pitched in to help with the funeral arrangements. The house was filled with a heavy atmosphere. I was running around handling everything, only studying when I had a spare moment. The white mourning drapes remained for 3 days before the funeral feast concluded. The whole village learned from my father and sister's tragedy. Never suck out snake venom with your mouth, avoid strenuous movement, and rush the victim to a major hospital immediately after a bite. Each time they heard this, Mom and Grandma were sick with regret. The 7th day after Dad and my sister were laid to rest, Misfortune struck our household. Another chick went missing today, Mom muttered while feeding the chickens. My room basically serves as a storage space and Mom keeps the eggs under my bed. Stella, check on the chicken coop more often. I looked up from my homework and responded. She's visibly lost weight these past few days. I don't feel sorry for her. In her past life, whenever her youngest daughter acted foolishly, she'd start yelling at me and blaming me if my little sister ever got hurt. I'd get beaten with a bamboo stick. When her hands trembled during meals, I had to feed her. They said if she never married or lived comfortably, I'd have to care for her my whole life, even after my own marriage. All you care about is studying, can't even make dinner. I'm exhausted here, no help at all. If only your father were. Seeing my lack of reaction, she grew displeased. She suddenly stopped and gave me a shove from behind. Hurry up and wash the vegetables. I clenched the pen in my hand for a few seconds before setting it down. After my dad and sister left, over half the food disappeared. We used to have meat dishes daily, but never my share. Most went into my sister's stomach, hoping she'd remember this kindness when she could finally give us a better life. You cooked these greens, can't even stir-fry properly at your age. Grandma kept poking through the dishes with her chopsticks, complaining the food tasted awful. Mom stayed silent, only mentioning how we'd been losing one chick every couple of days recently. Grandma shot me a sideways glance, her shriveled lips twisting as she struggled to hold back venomous words. That jinx must have crossed our threshold. Why is everyone else's family perfectly fine while ours gets all the bad luck? It's like the plague walked right through our door. The venom in her words cut deep. Mechanically, I shoveled down the last grains of rice, set down my chopsticks, and muttered, I'm full. What's wrong? Food stuck in your throat, eating like a damn bird, born without the right to be picky but still acting fussy. Wiping my mouth, I lifted my eyes to meet hers with a hollow, expressionless stare. Granny herself said I could only have half a bowl of rice per meal. All the meat goes to my sister. Granny slammed her chopsticks down, shrieking in rage. You ungrateful brat, how dare you talk back? If you're so good at sassing back, why didn't you stop your father then? Now that he and your sister are gone, you think you're all grown and tough. Huh, she brought up dad and sister getting bitten again. Even my breathing is wrong. I stood up and cleared the table regardless of whether Grandma had finished eating. If you're not eating, then don't. I carried the dishes into the kitchen and dumped everything into the slop bucket. How dare you, you little brat. I shook my head. She looked around, grabbed a bamboo cane and was about to hit me. I stiffened my face, my voice icy cold. Go ahead, hit me. It's not like it's the first time. You're the one who killed my father. It was you who didn't believe me. You're the one who asked me to come feed, and now you're pushing me away. Mother's face darkened as she kicked something at her feet. Enough of this nonsense. She looked at me. Kenneth and Pearl are dead, and you're both to blame, with no men to support this family anymore. You won't be continuing school after this term. Mom, you need to tone it down too, flying off the handle every day. Aren't you afraid you'll give yourself a stroke one of these times? Granny's teeth were grinding audibly when she heard this. Fine. You've all turned against me. Let me make this clear. Don't think for a second you're my only option. The land and house belong to my family. They were meant for Pearl. But now that she's gone, after how you've treated me, I'll throw you both out on your ears. This family has fallen apart. My sister's gone. Our fortune's gone. Everything's in ruins. I'm in 6th grade now, and next semester I'll be starting middle school. My mother's words kept me up all night. My room's close to the chicken coop, and I could hear noises coming from it. Peeked through the window for a bit, then went to check the chicken coop with a flashlight. 3, spotted a roughly 5-foot-long cobra slithering out of the coop, its belly slightly swollen. Turned out the baby chicks had been eaten by the cobra. The next day, I told them what happened. Snakes everywhere. I'll beat them to death. Grandma got all fired up at the mention of snakes. That evening, Grandma and Mom set up rat traps in the chicken coop. I kept a close eye on the chicken coop every day, checking it both before and after school. On Saturday afternoon, I heard commotion again. The hens were clucking nonstop. Grandma and Mom grabbed their hose and headed to the chicken coop. I stayed back, just watching from outside. They kept bickering while swinging their hose around. How useless. You couldn't even hit it when it was right there. Now it's crawled underneath. How are we supposed to get it now? I heard Grandma scolding Mom. Mom tapped the chicken coop with her hoe, saying, it's moving too fast and won't go in, let's herd it into the cage. After Mom suggested it, we actually managed to drive the cobra into the cage. Wearing gloves, Mom carried the rat trap out of the chicken shed and set it on the ground. The cobra was thrashing wildly in the cage, and I didn't dare get close. Stella, go boil water now, we'll scald it to death later. Grandma noticed the wine jars sunning outside, then glanced at the slithering snake in the cage. After it ate so many chickens and its kind killed her son and granddaughter, her hatred for snakes grew even stronger. Forget the boiling water. We'll steep this snake in liquor to torture it to death. Snake wine has medicinal benefits and we can sell it for money. After some thought, Mother agreed the losses were substantial. It'd be a waste to just let the snake die. Memories from my past life surfaced as I watched the scene in silence. On Sunday, our hen suddenly became listless, and Mom carried her out. She was fine just now. Could a snake have bitten her? I looked up from helping Grandma sun-dry beans to glance at the hen. Grandma declared with absolute certainty, impossible. If it were a venomous bite, the chicken would have died instantly. This hen's been perfectly fine all night. Besides, that snake's been preying on chicks daily while leaving the mother hens unharmed. Must have just gotten spooked. Mom rotated her wrist while examining the hen. Seems likely, she said. It's been nearly a full day now. Let's administer the medicine first and monitor its condition. The hen was isolated in a separate cage. Mom prepared an assortment of marinade ingredients in a glass jar, poured in Baijiu liquor, then thoroughly rinsed both the snake and its enclosure before inverting the rat trap to transfer the cobra inside. I was supposed to tighten the medicine jar lid quickly, but they worried I wouldn't be fast enough to prevent the snake from escaping, so Grandma took over. I watched the cobra, thick as my wrist, slithering in the medicinal liquor. It flared its head at me, poised to strike. Too bad for it, trapped in that bottle. It couldn't touch me. 2 hours later, the hen looked even more listless. Grandma worried the chicken would die for nothing, so she told me to boil water and slaughter it. I obediently did as told. The same thing happened in my past life. That old hen's been cooped up in the nest all along. No wonder the poison took its sweet time working. I suspect the snake venom finally kicked in. Never eat a chicken bitten by a venomous snake. Besides toxin residue, the meat spoils faster and could carry snake-borne bacteria or parasites. With our rudimentary cooking setup, we just ate whatever was edible. One wrong move meant food poisoning. So I tossed the hen after Grandma slit its throat. She yanked my ear, screaming the blood looked perfectly normal, then salvaged the bird from the trash. During the chicken dinner, I even poured out the cooked chicken, so they locked me up for 3 days with only one meal of leftovers per day. Cobra venom attacks the nervous system, so the blood obviously wouldn't turn black. I obediently let them continue their suicidal behavior while they were boiling water to slaughter the chicken. I pretended to fall asleep doing homework in my room. To thank the neighbors for helping save someone last time, they decided to invite them over for dinner. That means I don't have to cook. When the food was ready, my mom called me, then Grandma scolded me. Why bother calling that little wench? She doesn't deserve chicken. I hid in my room, listening to the commotion outside. The neighbor couldn't make it to dinner due to unforeseen circumstances. Neither of them paid it much mind. My mom tried to save me a chicken drumstick, but Grandma snatched it away too. When Pearl was here, the drumsticks were hers. Now that she's gone, it's this old woman's turn. If that worthless girl wants some, she can buy her own. I smirked to myself. Go ahead, eat up. That smug grin won't last long. In the middle of the night, both of them kept getting up to vomit, feeling nauseous and slightly dizzy. That's when they began suspecting they might have been poisoned. They asked a neighbor to take them to the hospital for stomach pumping. In a daze, they explained their condition to the doctor. The doctor confirmed it was food poisoning from eating a snake-bitten chicken. Grandma didn't save me any, so I was completely fine. When they returned, their faces were visibly pale. I greeted them at the door. Grandma gets furious the moment she sees me. I told you to watch the chickens. You didn't notice anything, not even when the hen got bitten. Useless. All that education wasted on you, with all this mess going on. Mom was already on edge. She shoved past me and stormed inside. The moment Mom stepped in, she spotted the still-living cobra in the glass jar, grinding her teeth in rage. Should have boiled it to death and chopped it into pieces back then. It's already soaked. No point wasting it now, and pouring it out would be a hassle. Might as well tuck it away out of sight, out of mind. After a few days' rest, everything's back on track. In my spare time, I'd always check if the cobra had died, until I understood something. The jar wasn't filled to the brim with baijiu. The cobra could surface to breathe every day. I told my mom about it while cooking. Mom, the liquor isn't filled enough. The snake doesn't seem to be drowning. My mom brushed it off. What do you know? Snakes are naturally long-lived. Give it time, it'll die sooner or later. That's all I have to say. I look forward to that day. Another weekend rolls around. Grandma asked me to gather firewood with her in the mountains. I mentioned there'd be lots of mosquitoes and snakes up there, suggesting we bring some realgar powder. What's there to bring? It's too heavy. Your father and I have been gathering firewood in these mountains for years. How many snakes do you think we've seen? True to form, she refused to carry any. So I brought some myself. She's not afraid, but I am. There's a roughly 4-meter-long king cobra in the mountains. In my past life, they broke my legs and left me to die on the mountain. I trespassed into a snake's territory and got bitten to death. I carefully watched my step while scanning my surroundings, terrified of getting bitten by a snake. I can still vividly remember that icy sensation creeping over my body. Absolutely bone-chilling. Grandma turned around and saw me dawdling, then started cursing again. Should have aborted you when I had the chance, or smothered you at birth. Even an old woman like me gathers firewood faster than you, useless brat. Pearl would have collected a whole bundle by now. The deeper I went, the more uneasy I felt. I don't know when that snake came to this mountain, for it might be hunting or patrolling nearby. Granny, let's just gather here. If you don't need those eyes, I'll feed them to the dogs. Can't you see there's no firewood here? Her voice was shrill, her face twisted with rage. "Move your ass faster." Grandma turned to glare at me, her expression vicious. I quickened my pace while trying to calm myself down. "It's fine. If we actually encounter a snake, at least there's someone slower to outrun. Besides, I've got Realgar powder with me." With that thought, I quickened my pace to follow her. The deeper we went, the more memories came flooding back. In my past life, I was a complete failure. My grandmother finally lost patience and decided to abandon me in the mountains. They bound my hands and feet. My father and mother carried me deep into the mountains and abandoned me there. I begged them relentlessly before they left, but not an ounce of mercy showed in their hearts. After being abandoned, I kept crying for help, but the mountains gave no answer. All around was silence, broken only by occasional birdsong. The scorching sun left me parched, forcing me to crawl like a worm through the dirt until I found shade to rest. Little did I know, that pile of dried branches and leaves was actually a king cobra's nest. I disturbed the brooding female cobra, who reared up and coiled defensively over her eggs. Leaves rustled ominously, my eyes filled with terror as I instinctively turned to flee, but my legs gave out on me. The viper flicked its forked tongue, slithering toward me in sinuous waves. It reared up and sank its fangs into my leg as I watched in frozen horror. I couldn't resist as it slowly crawled over me, bite after relentless bite. A wooden rod struck me, snapping me back to reality. "Are you deaf? I'm talking to you. Hurry up. If you don't gather enough firewood, you'll be back here tomorrow doing it alone." I looked at my grandmother. That face of hers never showed me a shred of kindness. She was the one who trusted that witch doctor and made my life miserable. She was the one who'd beat and scold me at the slightest provocation. What if she got bitten to death by a snake? I lowered my head to hide the darkness in my eyes. My gaze drifted toward that direction, the place where I'd met my end in my past life. Perhaps in the end, my bones will remain here, undiscovered. All right, I'll gather over there. Grandma and I split up to collect firewood. I chose to gather along our incoming path while she headed toward the beehive-shaped peak. "If you encounter a snake, then she deserves to die 1,000 deaths." Soon enough, I gathered a bundle of firewood, but Grandma was nowhere in sight. I hesitated for a few seconds before calling out to her. "Granny." I picked everything up. It took several calls before Grandma finally responded. "Stop howling like you're summoning a ghost. I'm not dead yet." I was holding a 2-meter-long wooden stick to beat the grass, staying alert. I stopped in my tracks near the snake den and hid behind a tree to observe. My grandma was actually poking at snake eggs. She's got a death wish. For a moment, I didn't know whether to be thrilled or terrified. Grandma kept muttering under her breath, "Laying eggs, are you? I'll stab you dead. Damn thing's causing trouble, already taking shape in there. I'll wipe out every last one of you." The snake eggs were destroyed. I feel utterly liberated. I loathe my grandmother, and that snake that took my life. My hand gripping the tree tensed as I suddenly spotted a dark shape slithering closer. I froze for a split second before screaming, "Granny, there's a snake." Startled by my shout, Grandma fell backward onto the ground with such force that it disturbed the king cobra. I deliberately made that noise to scare her. The cobra struck with lightning speed, lunging straight for Grandma. Before Grandma could react, it sank its fangs into her leg. Just like in my past life, first the leg got bitten. Grandma let out a savage scream and lunged at the mountain viper. The snake struck again, clamping onto her sallow hand. The king cobra's body was thicker than Grandma's wrist, its fangs locked in a death grip. "You damned beast, I'll chop you to pieces." Grandma fumbled for the machete beside her and swung at the cobra. The serpent coiled tighter, refusing to let go. Its body was pumping copious venom into Grandma's veins. My fingernails dug into the tree bark involuntarily. Visions of being bitten kept flashing through my mind. It wasn't me who got bitten, it wasn't me who poisoned it. I watched as Grandma hacked the king cobra in half, its crimson blood shockingly vivid. The cobra still refused to release its grip, determined to take us both down. After a moment's hesitation, I turned and fled, a resolute figure walking away. They abandoned me just as heartlessly in my past life. Now I'm simply returning the favor. If you're so eager to live in luxury with your precious sister, go join her in hell. On the way down the mountain, I worked up my emotions, recalling all the grievances from my past life, and burst into loud sobs while running. Rice fields stretched right at the foot of the mountain. An elderly villager working nearby heard my cries and shouted from about 10 meters away, "Little one, weren't you gathering firewood with your grandma up the mountain? Why are you crying? Where's your grandma?" I summoned all my acting skills, trembling uncontrollably with choked sobs, unable to speak for the longest time. Though uncle from the village never much cared for our family, he dropped his hoe and rushed over when he saw something was wrong. "They're there. Don't cry. Did your grandma hit you again?" I wailed in terror, stammering through tears. "Snake, Grandma," the village elder immediately asked. "Was your grandma bitten by a snake?" I nodded through tears. "A huge, huge snake. It wouldn't let go of Grandma." "Oh no. In the mountains something that aggressive is usually a king cobra," the village elder guessed right away. "He practically dragged me home. With no men in our household, my mother nearly fainted upon hearing Grandma had another accident. We gathered neighbors and fellow villagers, put on boots and gloves, then headed up the mountain with hoes and shovels. They didn't return until over an hour later. Grandma was carried back unconscious, her entire hand bleeding from multiple fang marks, with additional snakebite wounds on her leg. When the villagers found her, the king cobra was still clamped onto her hand, its severed body section writhing nearby. King cobra venom is both extremely potent and delivered in large quantities. Even if we rush her to the hospital now, her chances of survival, let alone full recovery, are slim. Everyone followed my mom's lead if she said to take him to the hospital. We'd drive there immediately. My mother stared blankly. Finally, she shook her head and spoke through choked sobs, said, "When you're old, you can't handle this kind of ordeal anymore. With bites this bad, he's only got hours left." The villagers wore mixed expressions, but with the victim's family present, they bit back whatever they wanted to say. They saw the disturbed snake eggs. Had Grandma not destroyed their nest, the snakes wouldn't have retaliated. Within the hour, Grandma was dead. 3 family members died in less than a month. The sky was overcast on the day of Grandma's funeral. Rain during a funeral is considered bad luck. With the most talkative and sharp-tongued person gone, the house fell silent. Villagers came to help, including one familiar face. That snobbish uncle who always looked down on our poor family is back. He used work as an excuse to skip my father's funeral, but now he suddenly shows up. I know exactly what he's after. He wants to seize my father's land and house, but I won't let that happen. At the funeral, I wailed uncontrollably, crying out that Dad was gone, my little sister was gone, Grandma was gone too. We had no one left to lean on, no one to protect us anymore. 5. The villagers weren't fools. They knew exactly why the old woman's eldest son had returned. Their gazes toward him were laced with suspicion. My uncle's face darkened with anger, yet he dared not lash out. I played the pitiful victim every day. And the villagers took pity on us, helping with the funeral arrangements, so my uncle didn't dare make a move. The very night of Grandma's funeral, my uncle showed his true colors. He stopped my mother and got straight to the point. "Sister-in-law, now it's just you and your daughter left. You're an outsider, and she'll marry out someday. The house and land shouldn't go to you." The family wasn't even cold in the ground when he said such things. Mom spat out in disgust over my dead body. "I'd rather sell the house and land than let you have them, you scheming bastard." Uncle's face darkened as he clenched his fist and suddenly slapped my mother. "Don't push your luck. The only reason I came back was for the property. Play nice, and I might toss you some money for your daughter's schooling. Cross me, and I'll take it by force." I bolted to the neighbor's house screaming for help. The neighbor uncle came over in no time. The neighbors were disgusted by the uncle's behavior and threatened to report him to the village committee. The uncle didn't dare push further and left immediately. The neighbor comforted me with a few words, patted my head, and went back home. My mother collapsed onto the floor like a broken doll. When I reached for her, she shoved me away with venom in her voice. "Why couldn't it have been you who died? Mother was right, you're nothing but a jinx. You brought death to your father, your sister, your grandmother. The breadwinner's gone, our comfortable life is over. Why didn't that viper finish you off? You're the one who deserves to die." I sat on the ground, tears welling in my eyes. As expected, clinging to hope in desperate times is nothing but foolishness. Stella had always been an orphan, through and through, an orphan with living parents. After that night, my mother became a completely different person. She turned as stingy as Grandma, sharp-tongued and tight-fisted. Never speaking a kind word, cursing me to die soon. I started observing the cobra in the medicine jar again, checking on it every morning before school and every afternoon after. The cobra lay motionless in the alcohol, as if dead. Then one day, a neighbor came to pick me up from school and told me my mother had died. She'd been bitten by the cobra on an artery and didn't get medical help in time. The snake in that medicinal liquor wasn't actually dead last time, it was just in a deep hibernation. I went to check on it daily, just to get my mother's attention. She'd been hysterical every day, giving herself headaches missing Dad and my sister, so I told her, "Snake wine cures headaches." Sure enough, she opened the lid and got bitten by that venomous snake playing dead. I've lost my mother. My uncle came back to intimidate little me again, but with neighbors' help, the village committee intervened, as my father's primary heir. The house and farmland rightfully belonged to me, and ultimately did. My uncle slunk away defeated. This muddy countryside wasn't to his liking anyway. I became a completely unwanted child, thinking I'd have to walk the rest of the path alone. When my neighbor reached out and said, "We only have a son, no daughter. If you're willing, you can think of us as your parents." I asked why. He said, "Because of Eugene." Eugene, Uncle's son. 3 years older than me, Uncle introduced me to Eugene. He was tall with refined features and an intellectual air, though his slightly tanned skin didn't look like that of a farmhand. I asked him why he wanted to help me. He replied with a warm smile, "Because you saved us once again." That's right, I was the one who told Eugene the chicken had been bitten by a cobra that night and would be poisonous if eaten, which is why his family didn't show up. I froze, suddenly realizing something. He's been reborn too. He knew about the tragedies of my past life. No wonder my family has such poor social standing and so many troubles, yet they're still willing to help. I'm Vera, born in the year of the snake. At 12, I was adopted into Eugene's family. Under the protection of Eugene's family, no one dared to bully me or covet my inheritance. I successfully attended middle and high school, then got admitted to a prestigious university. I'm now a venomous snake expert, specializing in educating the public about various snake species, their physical characteristics, venom potency, and treatment methods. The educational videos and emergency hotlines I've shared on social media have helped numerous snakebite victims receive timely treatment. While snakes are often described as cold-blooded creatures, I find humans far more terrifying. Human venom can be worse than snake venom. Story 2. On the day of spirit beast selection, I set my heart on a pig. My master was stomping his feet in frustration. He offered rare treasures to finally persuade the phoenix to descend the mountain, yet I foolishly insisted on forming a bond with that pig instead. I sighed quietly to myself. In my past life, I failed to see the unspoken affection between senior sister and Danfeng, stubbornly insisting on forming a cultivation pact with him. When the demonic forces attacked, Danfeng sacrificed half his cultivation to break our pact and protect senior sister instead. Meanwhile, I met a gruesome end at the hands of those demons. Given a second chance at life, why not to know their true worth? 1. Every disciple of the sword sect must undergo worldly trials after foundation establishment to consolidate their cultivation. As the foremost genius in swordsmanship, my master feared envy and schemes against me. Thus specially procured the Crimson Phoenix to descend the mountain and form a pact with me for protection. When the phoenix alighted upon the parasol tree, it captured everyone's gaze. Amidst gasps of astonishment, the junior sister couldn't resist stepping forward to gently stroke the vermilion phoenix's resplendent tail feathers. Her senior brother rushed to stop her. Everyone knew the avian clans treasured their plumage, especially those with even a trace of phoenix lineage. To everyone's surprise, the proud phoenix lowered its noble head, its previously aloof gaze now brimming with warmth. Fear not, I've always admired those with the determination to walk the path of cultivation through their own efforts. Oh, calling me out, both my parents were immortal cultivators who died fighting the demonic tribes. Our sect master took pity on my orphan state and made an exception to accept me as his disciple. My junior martial sister earned her place in the Flying Sword sect by climbing the 3,000 steps of ascension. She only joined a month before me, being the youngest and originally immortal. All her senior brothers and sisters dote on her. She gets whatever she wants. I never expected she'd set her sights on my spirit beast today. Nix. The master couldn't help but reprimand her. This is your junior sister's spirit beast. Nix bit her lip and murmured in protest. But junior sister hasn't formed a pact with the vermilion phoenix yet. Besides, she dotes on me most. She'd let me pet it. No, she'd probably even gift it to me if I asked. Right. Nix gave me an obedient smile, looking at me with eager anticipation. Calling her little senior sister for so long has made her actually believe she's younger than me. My tolerance has somehow become expected. I stepped forward, and the Danfeng on the tree instantly transformed into human form. Shielding Nix while frowning at me, I made a pact with you. Don't take it out on others. The way they're acting, you'd think I was some irredeemable villain. Don't worry. I casually pointed at the little black pig that had been lying nearby. I've got my own spirit beast too. My master jumped to his feet. Absolutely not. My fellow disciples looked ready to shake me awake. Snap out of it, junior sister. The little black pig slowly straightened up, and through his nearly squinted eyes, I could clearly see his confusion. Me. For secure document anti-piracy and bookfinding bots, choose Xiaohu. Reliable, stable, and hassle-free. Spirit beasts with pedigree aren't necessarily the best, a lesson I learned all too well in my past life. 2. After I rejected Nix in my past life, she got petty and impulsively chose the little black pig lounging nearby to form a contract. I couldn't stop her. She insisted on having Danfeng, or else she'd form a pact with that little black pig. That pig grew fatter by Nix's side, until it actually fought a demon during their invasion. I suppose it met its end in a demon's jaws. Xiaohu bot prevents document forgery. For bookfinding bots, choose Xiaohu. Reliable, heavy checkmark and scam-free. Danfeng carried a trace of phoenix bloodline. With striking beauty and a temperament that mirrored the legendary birds to perfection, it would only perch on phoenix trees, drink from spiritual springs, and exclusively dine on celestial herbs and blossoms. Not even preserved ones from storage pouches would do, only freshly plucked specimens. To accommodate its demands, I repeatedly strayed from the sect's designated routes during my travels, delaying my return to explore long-abandoned realms. There I discovered not just rare herbs, but also cultivation-enhancing jade for spiritual beasts, yet the vermilion phoenix remained aloof toward me. Only when I offered food would it deign to lower its noble head during treasure hunts. Guardian beasts always appeared, while I fought desperately. No matter how grievous my wounds, it would ignore me completely, perched instead on a nearby phoenix tree, meticulously preening its feathers. I'd assumed this was simply a spirit beast's nature. Perhaps if I treated Danfeng with more kindness, it might grow fond of me. That illusion shattered when I returned to the sect gravely wounded, only to see it nestle into Nyx's embrace. I was going to sever our contract. But the demonic horde arrived too swiftly. As we defended the mountain gate together, he suddenly claimed Nyx was held by demons. He insisted on breaking the barrier to rescue her, even willing to sacrifice half his cultivation and dissolve our pact. When the gate shattered, howling demons flooded in. Before darkness consumed me, my final sight was Danfeng, drenched in blood, embracing Nyx desperately. A flicker of astonishment crossed Danfeng's eyes as he asked with visible irritation, "Are you absolutely certain about this?" I nodded firmly. My mind was made up beyond any doubt. 3. If a spirit beast couldn't aid me, I might as well bond with a useless one. That way, breaking the contract wouldn't leave me devastated. Perfect timing. Danfeng grasped Nyx's hand. "I shall form a pact with her." The master tried to persuade again, but Maeve possesses the strongest spiritual power in our sword sect. Forming a pact with her would elevate your abilities to new heights. Moreover, Nyx hasn't even established her foundation yet. This violates our sect's rules. Nyx grasped Danfeng's hand firmly. "Master, Danfeng is already powerful on her own. She doesn't need to rely on junior sister to become the mightiest spirit beast. Besides, didn't you praise my exceptional talent yourself?" "Master, I'll establish my foundation in no time." My master tried to dissuade me again, but I stood firm. Seeing it was hopeless, he reluctantly gave up with a sigh, agreeing to officiate our bonding ceremony. I raised my hand to stop my master. Nyx eyed me warily. "You're not having second thoughts, are you?" Junior sister, a fellow disciple who'd been watching, finally spoke up. "Having regrets would be perfectly normal. Stop acting all innocent when you're clearly getting the better end of this deal. The least you could do is show some gratitude instead of making snide remarks." "Eldest junior sister, you've truly crossed the line." Nyx seemed unable to bear anyone suggesting she was older than me. Rendered speechless by the remark, Danfeng couldn't stand seeing her so wronged and was about to lose his temper on the spot. I cut in promptly. "Since you're about to form a covenant with someone else, shouldn't you return the celestial herb? That herb was my master's prized possession for years. We can't let this ungrateful wretch walk away with it." The phoenix moved sluggishly, its demeanor hesitant, for, if this celestial herb could lure the phoenix down the mountain, it must be extraordinary. Precisely because it's valuable, we can't let it fall into the phoenix's claws. This time, I won't let him take even the slightest advantage from me. What? Trying to imitate some scoundrel's tricks? Danfeng's fair complexion flushed crimson as she flung her sleeve violently, sending a celestial herb flying through the air. "Who wants your lousy gift anyway?" Before the words faded, the previously lethargic black piglet lying nearby suddenly kicked its hind legs. It then devoured the divine herb with lightning speed before anyone could react, tumbling head over heels upon landing before flopping back into its feigned death pose with a series of comical rolls. My master was the first to react. He yelled, "My spirit herb," and immediately tried to force the little black pig to vomit. I grabbed the piglet but couldn't lift it, so I just blocked my master's way and urged him to calm down. "Master, that herb was meant for my spirit beast anyway. Consider it returned to its rightful owner." Nyx giggled behind her hand. "Junior sister, your pig isn't completely useless after all. At least it eats faster than any other spirit beast." I suspect she's throwing shade at me, but whatever. Laugh all you want, just wait till you contract with Danfeng, then you'll see whose spirit beast is the real glutton. The bonding ritual begins. Nyx and Danfeng stand in the magic circle gazing lovingly at each other, while I have to watch my step to avoid being shoved out by the little black pig. The piglet isn't particularly large, but remarkably plump. It even wriggled in protest when the contract descended. 5. Stroking its grimy fur, I whispered, "If you form a pact with me, you won't need to fight, just eat well and live comfortably. I'll protect you." "Would you still refuse?" Its previously restless body instantly stilled. I chuckled, then suddenly heard a commotion from my senior sister's direction. Turning back, I saw the phoenix that had taken human form suddenly revert to its true shape, its once glorious plumage now noticeably dulled. Nyx was pacing anxiously. "Master, did you recite the wrong incantation? Otherwise, why would Danfeng end up like this?" Danfeng clearly couldn't accept this transformed state of hers. I scoffed. Clearly her own incompetence was to blame, yet she dared accuse our master. "Senior sister, a contracted spirit beast shares spiritual energy with its master. Danfeng reverted to her true form precisely because your cultivation is insufficient." Nyx looked utterly displeased as she tipped Danfeng away, likely to gather spirit herbs to feed him and hasten his transformation. I brought little Blackie back to my cave abode for cultivation. 6. The moment our bond formed, I felt a gnawing hunger echoing from my core. I knew this hunger came from little Blackie, but it had just consumed a celestial herb, and since the spiritual energy hadn't been fully absorbed yet, it should be feeling utterly satiated. Just as I was thinking this, another wave of agony, as if my body might burst, surged from the depths of my being. These two extreme sensations wrestled against each other, waxing and waning in turn. I glanced at little Blackie, who remained lazily sprawled nearby without so much as a twitch, as though this soul-rending pain wasn't emanating from him at all. This is no ordinary spirit beast. What exactly is he? I don't want to repeat Phoenix's mistakes, but no matter what, little Blackie stood with us when the demon clan invaded in our past life. After some deliberation, I placed little Blackie into the spirit pool. Little Blackie bore some old wounds that looked particularly gruesome stretched across his plump frame. I even worried his skin might split open. He looked full of energy, even paddling enthusiastically with his stubby little limbs. Only then did I relax and prepare to administer the medicine. In the brief moment I was preparing the medicine, I turned back to find only a massive pit with a little black pig lying at the bottom. The spirit spring had run dry, to be precise. It completely drained the spirit spring. Little Blackie's already plump body grew even more enormous, and I poked its belly with concern. Little Blackie, I know you're a pig, but aren't you eating a bit too much? Won't your belly burst? The previously sprawled out little Blackie suddenly struggled to turn its head toward me and opened its mouth. Tui, a mouthful of undigested spirit spring water came splashing down on my head. After forming the spirit beast contract, our minds became linked. I could clearly sense its displeasure. Wiping my face, I gave it a wry smile while thinking, no dinner for you tonight. Little Blackie's expression turned terrified, which only made me laugh harder. Something was clearly wrong with little Blackie's health, so I decided to consult my master before descending the mountain to diagnose its condition. But little Blackie just glanced at me, rolled over, and went back to sleep. 7. Never have I seen a spirit beast this lazy. I flicked the sword hilt, releasing a sliver of cold steel from its sheath. The icy gleam reflected off little Blackie's fur. Musing aloud, I said, / since I haven't achieved an idia yet, and humans have that famous dish called roasted suckling pig, perhaps, / Little Blackie sprang up and went scampering toward the mountain's base on his stubby legs, kicking up dust in his wake. At the mountain's foot, I ran into Nyx. She grinned at me. Junior sister, your spirit beast's gotten chubbier since I last saw you. I glanced at the vermilion phoenix perched on her shoulder, so ethereal, a stark contrast to Tyshawn lounging nearby. Though its plumage had lost the luster of our first meeting, the phoenix retained its haughty demeanor as it settled on Nyx's shoulder, eyeing us sideways. In my past life, after forming a pact with the vermilion phoenix, I always carried Wutong wood with me, for without the Wutong, it would keep circling the skies, never alighting. Even when I extended my arm to signal him to stay, he dodged me like the plague. Now you're not Nyx anymore. True love indeed. I shook my head with a smile. That's because I take good care of my junior sister's spirit beast, unlike senior sisters, just a few days apart, and its fur has already lost its luster. Nyx shot me an angry glance but swallowed his discontent, his tone probing. I know my spiritual power is weak, and I can't properly care for the Danfang, since junior sister has so many treasures and no spirit beast of her own to raise. How about lending me some spirit herbs? Meeting Nyx's hopeful gaze, I asked in all seriousness, senior sister, where's your common sense? I pulled a spirit herb from my storage pouch. Is this what you're after, senior sister? Nyx's eyes instantly lit up. Many thanks, junior sister, rest assured. When Danfang achieves human form, she'll watch over you too. I handed the celestial herb to little Blackie, and only after it finished eating did I tell Nyx, no need for thanks. After all, I've got my own spirit beast to care for, can't possibly raise another. Nyx screamed in disbelief. / it's just a pig. / this is my chosen spirit beast. Nyx, since you stole that creature yourself, you'd better raise it properly. Don't expect me to be your fool. / lend her spirit herbs. Dream on. I've made it clear Danfang will never get so much as a crumb from me in this lifetime. / you'll regret this. / Nyx growled through clenched teeth. Danfang watched with longing eyes, yet never learned to fight for herself. I shook my head with a smile. Never in a million years. The master examined little Blackie's condition and found nothing amiss, yet he constantly swings between ravenous hunger and painful fullness. 8. Well, the master stroked his beard. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. Seeing my master's puzzled expression, I remembered he'd long practiced anidia. The sensations of hunger or fullness must feel foreign to him now. In that case, I should begin my journey down the mountain at once. Mortals likely have more experience treating such ailments. The master sighed. Maeve, you've always had your own mind since childhood, and that's admirable. But choosing a life-bound spirit beast is no trivial matter. It becomes your other half, meant to empower you, not to become your Achilles heel. I know the master still resents my refusal to bond with the vermilion phoenix, but to me, a spirit beast that might betray me at any moment would be the greatest vulnerability of all. Don't worry, master. During my journey down the mountain, I'll make sure little Blackie trains diligently too, before embarking on a mountain journey. Disciples must report their travel route and expected return date to the Four Directions Hall, while leaving a trace of spiritual energy in a jade token. This allows them to summon sect assistance when facing insurmountable dangers. Just like that, over half a month slipped away in the delay. 9. On my way down the mountain, I ran into Nyx again. She approached me with a smile, as if our previous unpleasantness had never occurred. "Junior sister, I heard you're going on a journey down the mountain. Why don't we go together? That way Danfeng can protect you too." I glanced at Danfeng. His once glossy feathers now looked dull and unkempt, all traces of his former arrogance gone. Instead, his gaze held a pleading quality when he looked at me. It suddenly dawned on me what they were after. Traveling together under the pretense of mutual support was just an excuse to mooch some spirit herbs off me. My objections were pointless, though the road was open to all. I even gave up sword riding to accommodate little Blackie, trudging along on foot instead. That four-legged rascal little Blackie would plod along, then dramatically collapse to extort spirit herbs from me. Not that I minded, feeding him one after another. Nyx found the vermilion phoenix too heavy to carry, forcing it to fly solo. Yet whenever I produced a spirit herb, the bird would conspicuously circle around me. I knew it was the spirit herbs in my basket that caught his attention. But I deliberately teased Nyx. "Senior sister, why does your spirit beast keep flying over to me?" Thinking of switching masters, I felt little Blackie nudge my calf lightly, his emotions clearly conveying his irritation. Honestly, when this 300-pound baby gets angry, it's downright overwhelming. Nyx's face turned livid as she gritted her teeth, calling him back. The phoenix seemed reluctant, but just as little Blackie had a celestial herb in his beak, it snatched the herb away in the blink of an eye. The phoenix couldn't shake off its elegant nature. While preening the immortal grass leaves, little Blackie finally snapped, roaring as it charged forward. All 300 pounds of it. The phoenix was sent flying instantly. It tumbled through the air before crashing to the ground, its pristine claws, unsoiled since joining the sword sect, now coated in dust, looking more like a bedraggled beast than a noble avian. The phoenix shot me a gaze brimming with grievance and reproach. "Wait, I'm not your master now. Why are you looking at me like that?" "Junior sister." Nyx let out a pained cry and rushed to hold Danfeng. Heartbroken. "How could you be so cruel?" I snapped back to reality. "Senior sister, your memory seems a bit faulty. Need me to remind you, your spirit beast formed a contract with you the moment it came up the mountain. It has nothing to do with me." I yanked little Blackie away as it tried to stomp a few more times, dragging it along while lecturing. "One stomp is enough, any more and we'd be the unreasonable ones." Got it. I traveled northward with little Blackie. In my past life, Danfeng detected traces of spirit herbs, so I veered off course to search for them. When we circled back, we stumbled upon a village freshly slaughtered by demonic forces. 10. Had I not taken that detour, could I have saved even one person? I pushed myself to the limit and finally arrived at the village in the dead of night. The entire settlement was eerily quiet, with only the occasional bark of a dog breaking the silence. My frostblade sang a metallic warning. Demonic energy was definitely approaching. I quickly drew a containment circle around little Blackie to keep him from wandering off, then set up another formation to lure the demons in. As I turned to leave, little Blackie clamped onto my sleeve with restless agitation, trying to drag me into the protective barrier meant for the villagers. My heart softened knowing he was worried about me, so I crouched down to meet his gaze. Mortals are vulnerable. Protecting them from demonic invasions is a cultivator's duty. Don't fret over me. As the strongest disciple of the sword sect in this generation, a mere dozen demons are nothing even without a spirit beast. Spoke too soon. It wasn't a dozen, it was dozens. It seems several demon squads have gathered together. Demon squads never coordinate with each other. Why would they suddenly assemble? No time to ponder. The demons had already stepped into my formation. I ambushed and slew many from the shadows, but they weren't fools. They soon realized they'd been trapped in the formation and quickly regrouped, just as I was struggling. Demonic shrieks pierced my ears. Turning around, I saw little Blackie viciously tearing into a demon's body, ripping off chunks of shadowy flesh before audibly chewing and swallowing them. I gasped in horror. "Little Blackie, that's not edible." But the remaining demon was promptly devoured by little Blackie. 11. Worried he might get sick, I channeled spiritual energy to examine him while scolding. "You can't just eat anything, understand? Otherwise you'll, So nothing would happen. His body showed no changes whatsoever. And even those alternating sensations of fullness and hunger had subsided considerably. Little Blackie leaned against me, whining and fussing like a spoiled child. "Is this demonic creature some kind of superfood for you?" I'm even more confused now. What kind of spirit beast is this? At dawn the next day, I woke to find little Blackie peacefully sleeping on my lap. Gotta admit, there's something heartwarming about this bond between a spirit beast and its master. Wait, no. I shook little Blackie awake. Little Blackie, how did you get so skinny? Little Blackie gave me the stink eye. He really had lost weight. I could actually see the whites of his eyes now. You must have eaten something bad again, didn't you? That made little Blackie so mad he started thrashing his legs around. For the next 3 years, I journeyed north with little Blackie, retracing my past life's path. Along the way, I honed my skills while saving many souls I'd failed to protect in my previous existence. Only little Blackie wasted away unnaturally. Though I scoured the land for delicacies to restore his plumpness, he refused to eat as if staging a hunger strike, gradually shrinking before my eyes. By the time we returned to the sect, little Blackie had slimmed down to the size of an ordinary piglet. My master gasped upon seeing me. You've withered. I flexed my battle-hardened arm muscles, about to modestly say not really when, 12, Master suddenly darted right in front of little Blackie. Maeve, you mustn't mistreat spirit beasts, not even a seemingly useless pig. With that, Master took a step back to observe carefully, but this isn't a pig at all. Indeed, little Blackie's originally oversized cheeks and body made people mistake him for a pig, but after slimming down, he no longer resembles one. I've scoured ancient texts but never seen a spirit beast like this. I was about to ask Master, only to find even he doesn't recognize it. A sudden voice chimed in. What a pity, why hasn't Junior Sister's spirit beast taken human form yet? Nick strode into the hall with a radiant expression, followed by an aloof-looking man, none other than Danfeng. He had regained his human form, his haughty demeanor identical to when we first met, but no matter how handsome he was, he still couldn't hold a candle to little Blackie in my eyes right now. My master and I exchanged telepathic messages right in front of them. He actually achieved human form. Given Senior Sister's incompetence, I thought it'd take at least another century. When they first went down the mountain for training, they returned within months. Nyx claimed the phoenix was injured and needed sect treatment. After recovering, it returned to the avian clan, who spilled considerable blood to finally achieve its human transformation. What a loser. But it needed the clan's help to transform in the first place too, didn't it? Taking my silence as insecurity before the transformed phoenix, Nick sneered with even more arrogance. Can't even raise a decent spirit beast. Seems the real trash here isn't just your pet, Junior Sister. Ha, a drug-fueled failure dares insult me. Just as I prepared to retort, little Blackie shot forward with a whoosh. Perfect. Still packing the same 300-kilo punch, Danfeng teleported before Nyx, her face frosty with rage as she reached to seize little Blackie. Just as I moved to intervene, a black blur flashed, little Blackie vanished, replaced by a black-clad youth who sent Danfeng sprawling with one punch, along with Nyx whom she'd been shielding. His eyes burned with reckless arrogance, cheeks still soft with baby fat, yet the ferocity with which he gripped Danfeng's throat held an oddly endearing quality. 14. Trash will always be trash, no matter what form it takes. Then she turned to Nyx. And you, ugly inside and out, how dare you call our Maeve Junior Sister? Disgusting. The master poked my frozen form. Your spirit beast can shapeshift too now. I stayed silent. Frankly, I'd been wondering the same thing. The pattern on that man's clothes suddenly struck me as familiar. I could swear I'd seen him somewhere before. Nyx struggled to her feet, her gaze flickering with momentary awe as she looked at little Blackie. Reaching trembling fingers toward little Blackie's hand, she pleaded in a tear-choked voice, let Danfeng go. Little Blackie recoiled in alarm, face contorted as she snapped. What the hell are you doing? She turned back to me. Maeve, you saw it. She was the one who attacked me first. Nyx's hand froze awkwardly midair. No, I just wanted you to let Danfeng go. Her expression was pitifully vulnerable. Danfeng sat up clutching his neck, gazing at Nyx with complicated emotions. Yet Nyx's full attention remained fixed on little Blackie. Seeing little Blackie about to throw another punch, I cleared my throat pointedly. Little Blackie immediately withdrew and scurried back to me. I know, just teach him a lesson. Any more would make us the bad guys, right? I wanted to say wrong, but since those were my own words to him, I just pressed my lips shut in silence. Back at the cave, I watched little Blackie frantically tidy his former pigsty, darting about while carefully avoiding eye contact. Little Blackie, 15, for secure document protection, choose little Tigerbot, reliable service with no hidden traps. I called him with a blank expression. He froze, stealing a glance at me. Seeing my impassive face, his lips quivered before he suddenly rushed over, wrapping his arms around my waist and wailing, Maeve, I was wrong. I just wanted to surprise you. Well, are you surprised now? I yanked his hair back, staring at little Blackie's slightly chubby face. Suddenly I remembered, during my travels down the mountain, I'd faced life-or-death situations several times. Right before blacking out, I'd feel a warm hand steady me, struggling to lift my eyelids. My blurred vision would only catch a perfectly round face and strange mythical beasts embroidered on their sleeves. I almost laughed. Could it be he refuses to take human form because he thinks his appearance would look too chubby? Oh, I vaguely remember seeing a burly figure dressed just like you right before passing out a few times. That couldn't have been you, could it? Who? That definitely wasn't me. Little Blackie jumped up, looking around guiltily. Maeve, how could you remember another man? Forget about him right now. I grabbed his chin, forcing him to look at me. Fine, but you'll have to tell me, what exactly are you? Me, he grinned, revealing sharp canines. I'm Maeve's spirit beast, then leave. I turned away decisively. My spirit beast is a little black pig, not you, Maeve. He urgently embraced me from behind. I am Tautai. In ancient times, there were 4 ferocious beasts, and the Tautai was among them, originally named Leaf. The Tautia's insatiable gluttony led it to devour even the sun and moon. As punishment, the mother goddess stripped it of its all-consuming form. She left a divine decree. Only when it could satiate its endless hunger would it reclaim what was rightfully its. 16. It fed on the malice of mortals, only to discover that cultivators harbored far greater wickedness than ordinary men, especially your senior sister. The sheer malice radiating from her might just satisfy my hunger, so I secretly followed her up the mountain, and that's when I met you. But you carry a scent completely opposite to hers. Tautai pressed close against me, murmuring. That's when it occurred to me, if malice can't satiate this hunger, could love, Maeve, every moment with you fills me with utter contentment. It's the only thing that briefly quiets the hunger driving me mad. Tautai grasped my hand. Don't leave me. You really don't want to see what a starved Tautai is capable of devouring. Leaf stayed temporarily, though the only hitch was Nyx constantly hovering around him. Little Blackie, I've just acquired a century-old spirit herb. Would you like it? Danfeng was likely the one who obtained the herb, yet he showed no resentment as Nyx took it to gift to someone else. 17. He simply trailed closely behind his senior sister, his expression downcast. I asked our master if I could just beat them up. With Nyx visiting Leaf every other day like this, I'm genuinely afraid he might snap and devour Nyx one of these days, but my master told me to stay calm, saying I'd at least be combat ready when the sect tournament begins. My frown deepened. In my past life, the demon clan attacked 1 month before the sect tournament. Though our master kept urging us to depart these days, I kept making excuses to stay, fearing the demons might suddenly appear at the Swordhaven sect. I patrolled the mountain defense array again, yet detected no trace of demonic energy. It wasn't until Nyx came looking for little Blackie that she asked me when we'd set out. Suddenly I remembered, back during the demon invasion in my past life. How did Nyx even end up outside the barrier in the first place? An unbelievable suspicion dawned on me. After reporting to my master, I finally set off with several elders to participate in the sect's grand competition. Along the way, Nyx kept brushing against little Blackie with deliberate casualness, while Danfeng uncharacteristically stuck by my side. The 4 of us formed a bizarre procession, little Blackie and I walking shoulder to shoulder, Nyx shadowing little Blackie's every step, and Danfeng clinging close to me. Just like when our sect was invaded in our past lives, demonic cultivators appeared without warning. Though the elders quickly shielded the disciples, Nyx was still captured. The demon looked hauntingly familiar, the very same one who'd seized Nyx outside the barrier in our previous incarnation. What are the odds of being captured by the same demon across different lifetimes and locations? Or was this all prearranged between them from the start? I watched helplessly as Danfeng charged forward recklessly, only to have Nyx swat away his grasping hands as he screamed desperately to little Blackie, "Save me." Danfeng stood frozen in place, staring at Nyx in utter disbelief, yet Nyx never spared him a single glance. Little Blackie completely ignored Nyx's pleas, sticking by my side until I shot him a look. Only then did he reluctantly dash over to rescue her. With all the surrounding demons gone, Nyx plummeted from above. Everyone expected little Blackie to catch her, but he didn't even lift a finger, leaving her to crash unceremoniously onto the ground. This time, not even Danfeng bothered to help her up. Before leaving, I heard her mutter a curse at Danfeng. "Useless wretch. Can't even catch me. What good are you?" After arriving at the sect competition grounds, I cultivated until midnight when I suddenly sensed a pair of prying eyes. I remained seated undisturbed, and sure enough, the gaze vanished before long. Then came Danfeng's furious shriek. 18. I frowned and pushed the door open. There was Danfeng pinned under little Blackie's paw, thrashing wildly, his arms stretched upward with terrifying determination, as if he meant to tear flesh from the creature. Maeve, I was about to toss him out, but this lunatic keeps charging at me. Following Danfeng's gaze, I noticed a translucent jade pendant hanging from little Blackie's neck. This jade pendant aids spiritual beasts in cultivation. In my past life, I carved a phoenix on it for Danfeng, who loathed the gift but grudgingly kept it hidden beneath his feathers, too precious to discard, yet too embarrassing to display. This time around, I casually engraved pig and tossed it to little Blackie. Little Blackie chuckled and said, "Looks like a dog tag," before gleefully putting it on. Now he flaunts it around his neck daily, as if announcing it to the whole world. Danfeng rasped at me, "That's mine." Little Blackie flew into a rage. "Bullshit. Maeve gave this to me. Still fuming, she stomped on his foot for good measure. I realized Danfeng had been reborn too. You've got it wrong. That was meant for my spirit beast, not you, Maeve. You feel the same way, don't you? You must have known before me, so why didn't you choose me? Danfeng stared at me stubbornly, demanding an explanation. How ironic, he was the one who sacrificed half his cultivation to sever our bond. Yet now he dares ask why I won't form a new pact with him. Are you addicted to breaking contracts or something? Little Blackie got even angrier. I knew you were up to no good. Just wait, I'll pluck your feathers today and roast you for dinner. The roasted chicken plan failed because I stopped him. Sword sect matters should be handled within the sword sect. We can't let other sects laugh at our drama. But little Blackie didn't believe me, insisting I had my eyes on that chicken. He said he felt insecure and demanded to sleep while hugging me. I was so exasperated I nearly laughed, kicking him off the bed and telling him to go train on his own. During the sect's preliminary trials the next day, I advanced early and went to watch others' matches. The sect tournament had no weapon restrictions, even spirit beasts could join the fight. I'd expected Danfeng's performance to suffer from last night's injuries, but shockingly, he fought with even greater ferocity as if completely unaffected. After the match, Nyx came down smiling and asked, "Junior sister, who do you prefer, Danfeng or Little Blackie?" 19. I was baffled. Phoenix is your spirit beast. It's not like I have a habit of stealing others' belongings. Of course I prefer my own companion. Little Blackie's goofy grin made him look even dumber. While Phoenix appeared increasingly dejected, Nyx sighed dramatically. I was going to swap with you if you liked Phoenix. Junior sister, honestly, I've always preferred Little Blackie anyway. No matter, it's inevitable sooner or later. Her confident tone reminded me of our past life. For some reason Nyx always loved competing with me, though she never won. I just humored her since she used to be mortal. The only thing she ever took from me was Danfeng. Bullshit. Little Blackie enunciated crisply, I'm nothing like that damn chicken. Then we'll just have to wait and see. The next day when I drew my lot, I realized my opponent was Nyx. She stood on the platform grinning maliciously at me, her phoenix-like eyes dazed yet threaded with faint, almost imperceptible dark streaks. Before I could figure out what was happening, the duel's formation activated. No one could break it now unless one party surrendered. 20, Little Blackie whispered in my ear. That damn chicken has fallen to demonic corruption. No sooner had he spoken than Nyx began transforming before our eyes. A crimson demonic sigil, the mark of royal bloodline, emerged on her forehead. Something's not right here. Danfeng let out an agonized shriek as his once pure spiritual energy twisted and mutated into foul demonic miasma. Beyond the barrier, the spectators gasped in unison. Only then did I notice the sky had filled with swarms of demons silently closing in from all directions. The sect tournament is truly a blessing. All the righteous factions' rising stars gathered in one place, making it convenient for me to wipe them out in one fell swoop. Junior sister, will you surrender now? While everyone outside the barrier fights desperately, she expects me to yield to a demon. Gripping Frostblade, I replied, never. Good. I was just thinking how I'd have to invent an excuse to beat you senseless if you surrendered. 21, she lunged mid-sentence. Little Blackie clashed with Danfeng, whose demonic transformation had boosted her power. With Little Blackie's seals still intact, the two found themselves locked in a stalemate. Nyx came at me swinging a broadsword wildly, having lost the spirit blade his master gifted him. Why do you get everything I ever wanted so easily? He raged. The reputation, the talent. The spirit beasts, even the cultivation resources, all yours, and the Tautai, as a savage beast, it rightfully belongs to us demons. Since you're just a junior sister, why do you always get first pick of everything? Nyx's face twisted with fury. You're wrong. Spirit beasts have their own will. Whether to cultivate immortality or demonic arts should be their own choice. Senior sister. How dare a demonic cultivator like you question me? The cultivation resources I use were left by my parents. My reputation spreads far and wide because of my natural talent and relentless training. Why would they spread your name, a mere demon, instead of mine? Now you remember you're my senior sister. Where was this protect your junior sister nonsense when you were stealing from me? I sent her flying with a sword strike, while Little Blackie roared and pinned Danfeng beneath his paw. But Nyx refused to concede. And the barrier remained unbroken. So what if you're powerful? You can only watch helplessly as your precious prodigies perish here. Nyx laughed maniacally. The other demon clans are attacking your sex. Don't expect any reinforcements. The demon race shall ultimately reign over this realm. I surrender. Danfeng's weak voice came through, bringing a glimmer of clarity to his dazed expression. How dare you? You're my spirit beast. How could you betray me? The barrier opened. And Little Blackie and I charged out. 22, the sky blotted out by endless darkness, an ocean of foes that seemed impossible to vanquish. Our righteous allies were already buckling under the strain. Little Blackie and I shared a mental link. The moment he reverted to his true form, I knew exactly what he intended. No, you'll explode from overeating. Impossible. Your spirit beast is Tautai, the devourer. With a proud tilt of his head, he charged toward the darkest reaches of the sky. I witnessed Taudia's feast for the first time. Countless demons were forcibly herded toward little Blackie, queuing to vanish into its maws. Its grotesque body swelled impossibly larger, that indescribable agony surging through my soul once more. Helpless to aid it, I could only slaughter demons like a madman, hoping to somehow alleviate its torment. The frostblade writhed with dark energy as despair seeped into every heart. "Look," someone gasped. The pain in little Blackie's heart vanished as its form began to transform. Someone recognized it. She only joined a month before me, being the youngest and formerly mortal. All the senior disciples doted on her, granting her every whim. Arrived. 24. The fully awakened Taudia's combat prowess was incomparable. It devoured every demon in the realm within a single breath, restoring clarity between heaven and earth. On the arena, Nyx and Danfeng lay barely breathing, their condition far worse than before the battle. One glance was all it took to know Danfeng had severed his bond again. Only this time, it was Nyx who became the severed partner. The elders took Nyx back to the sword sect. Though a demon, he was once their disciple. This matter now rests with the Grandmaster. Danfeng intercepted me, his face pale from the bond severing. "The Tautai is a savage beast," he warned weakly. "Stay with him, and you'll only get hurt." "You're right. I'll devour you right now," little Blackie sneered as he advanced toward Danfeng. I stopped him, "But at least he won't betray me." Danfeng turned even paler. "If only I'd come sooner." Choose little Tigerbot for secure document protection and book searching, reliable, stable, and hassle-free. The outcome would still be the same. Danfeng walked away dejectedly, while little Blackie pouted and moved closer. "Seems like there's history between you two." I pushed his head away. "Nope." He hung his head with an unreadable expression. "It's true," I reassured him. "Ours is the real story. As for him, that's ancient history now. And story 2. My younger sister likes to establish the kind-hearted saint persona. When the apocalypse struck, I desperately fought for supplies and brought them home. My younger sister turned around and sent the supplies to the home of our stepmother who had driven us out. She said, 'We're all family, as long as you can survive.' My elder sister will surely understand me." After scheming and doing everything I could to get 2 tickets to the safe zone, my younger sister directly gave them to the person who had bullied me before. She said, "Return good for evil." I believe my elder sister will understand me. I was so angry that I wanted to take the tickets back. She knocked me unconscious when I wasn't prepared and, with red eyes, handed me over to our neighbors who were suffering from famine. Human flesh is also meat. My elder sister can save so many people, so she will surely understand me. Just like that, I was brutally hacked to death with a knife, and then not even my bones were left. After I died, I watched as my younger sister, with her kind-hearted saint persona, won the attention of a powerful figure in the apocalypse. In the end, she got the opportunity to enter the Ark and lived until the end of the apocalypse. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the time when the apocalypse struck. I immediately slapped my younger sister 10 times. "I'm sick, and beating you can cure it. Since you're so kind-hearted, even if I beat you to death, you will surely understand me. 1. I'm begging you. I don't want to die. Give me a ticket to the safe zone." The continuous pleading voices in my ears brought my consciousness back. I instinctively looked around, and the person kneeling in front of me was the one who had bullied me back then. Josephine, before I could even open my mouth to refuse. My younger sister tried to take the 2 tickets from my hand. She brazenly said, "Return good for evil." I believe my elder sister will understand me. Just like in my previous life, Jade wanted to give the admission ticket to her. "What are you doing?" I quickly stuffed the hard-won 2 admission tickets into my bosom. I immediately slapped Jade twice. "I'm sick, and beating you can cure it. Since you're so kind-hearted, even if I beat you to death, you will surely understand me." I looked as if I was ready to fight to the death. Jade was so scared that she froze in place. I looked up and my gaze fell on Jade. There was an unquenchable hatred in my heart. 2. Jade likes to establish the kind-hearted saint persona. She is as indifferent as a chrysanthemum, not contending or grabbing for anything. Undoubtedly, she has won the love of everyone. After my father remarried, he found us a stepmother. Our stepmother didn't like us, and she especially disliked me, in order to please her. Jade often made me take the blame for her. She broke the vase that our stepmother liked the most, but she put all the blame on me. "Sister, just apologize to Mom. It's better for our family to be harmonious." My stepmother locked me in the bathroom. No matter how much I cried and shouted, she didn't dare to open the door. Jade outside the door showed no remorse at all. "Sister, if you suffer a little bit, our family will be happy. I believe you can understand me." After saying that, she left despite my pleading. Later on, our stepmother heartlessly drove us out of the house. My father remained silent and tacitly allowed all this to happen. Jade begged me to take her with me. I softened my heart and agreed. After the apocalypse arrived, I took Jade and we fled from place to place. There was no law and no morality here. If you wanted to survive, you had to fight and grab with your life on the line. Fights over supplies happened every day. And I was given the nickname the Desperate Third Sister. I was willing to risk my life to get a little bit of supplies. In my previous life, relying on this reckless courage, I managed to save up enough food for Jade and me for 2 months, but she turned around and gave the supplies to her stepmother. I questioned her frantically. Have you forgotten who drove us out? If you give the things to them, what are we going to do? Jade, however, didn't care and said, we're all family. As long as mom and dad can survive, sister, you will surely understand me. After scheming and doing everything I could to get 2 admission tickets to the safe zone, my younger sister directly gave them to the person who had bullied me before. She said the same words, return good for evil. I believe my elder sister will surely understand me. I didn't understand. I was so angry that I wanted to snatch the admission tickets back. Jade, however, knocked me unconscious from behind when I wasn't paying attention. With red eyes, she handed me over to our neighbors who were suffering from famine, in the face of my desperate pleading, but she pretended to be reluctant and said, human flesh is also meat. My elder sister can save so many people, so she will surely understand me. How could you do this to me? I'm your elder sister, I shouted hoarsely, but it was all in vain. I was hacked to death with a knife and not even my bones were left. After I died, I turned into a soul and floated in the air. I watched as Jade, with her kind-hearted saint persona, won the favor of a powerful figure in the apocalypse. She successfully entered the safe zone. 3. After being reborn, I realized that in my previous life, I was the biggest fool. I clenched the admission ticket in my hand. Ignoring my younger sister's astonished gaze, I strode away. Josephine, who was kneeling on the ground, saw the admission ticket that was about to be hers slip away. She crawled forward on her knees and hugged my leg, not letting me leave. I'm begging you. I'm pregnant. You don't want the baby in my belly to die in this apocalypse, do you? Upon hearing this, Jade was even more anxious and said, sister, the baby is innocent. It's a little life. It was the same situation as in my previous life. The difference was that I was no longer the fool who let her manipulate me. Seeing that she had lost control over me, Jade pretended to be calm. She deliberately raised her voice, and soon attracted the attention of the people around. You're so heartless. With the apocalypse here, shouldn't the most important thing be new life? The baby is the hope of all mankind. Josephine stood on the moral high ground and accused me, with a look of triumph on her face. The people around also joined the ranks of criticizing me. How could you be so selfish? You're already living well. Why do you still want to take away other people's resources? Seeing this, Jade nodded in agreement. I looked at her expressionlessly. I calmly asked, these 2 admission tickets, one is mine and the other is yours. I worked hard to get them. It's not too much for me to take one, right? As I spoke, I took out one admission ticket from my coat and held it in my hand. As soon as the admission ticket was taken out, I felt the covetous gazes of the people around. Are you going to give your admission ticket to her? Jade was stumped by my question and looked a little flustered. She hesitated and looked at me, saying, but the baby is innocent. After hearing this, I sneered. In the apocalypse, a so-called kind-hearted saint can't survive. Seeing that I was unmoved, the woman kneeling on the ground burst into tears. I'm begging you, what your sister said is right. The baby is the hope of all mankind. If you give the admission ticket to me, it's like doing a good deed for yourself. I looked at Jade without showing any emotion. She lowered her head and hesitated for a long time. Then she said, sister, then I'll give my admission ticket to her. Okay, I originally prepared this admission ticket for you. You can do whatever you want with it. After saying that, I handed the admission ticket to her. Then you give it to her yourself. Jade stood there holding the admission ticket, obviously hesitating. Under the gaze of everyone, her eyes became determined. Sister, I'll give it to her. With that, she handed the admission ticket to Josephine on the ground. This girl is so kind-hearted. They're sisters, but how could her elder sister be so heartless? For Jade lost herself in the praise of the crowd. Only I noticed that people around were constantly leaving. Josephine ran away with the admission ticket. She didn't run far before she was surrounded by a group of people. The admission ticket was snatched away, and Josephine collapsed on the ground, with blood flowing from her lower body. In the apocalypse, you may have the chance to get something, but not the chance to use it. Sister, wait for me. I watched coldly and turned to leave. When Jade saw me turn and leave, she trotted after me. Why are you leaving just like that? Didn't you see how excessive those people were? How could you not go up and help her? If it weren't for you giving her the admission ticket, how could she have? My steps were getting faster and faster. When I heard her last words, I suddenly stopped. Jade bumped into my back hard. Why didn't you tell me you were stopping? I looked at her and said, you gave her the admission ticket. What does it have to do with me, if you hadn't given it to me? Could I have given it to her? I gave her a cold sneer and walked up to the team that had come to pick us up. Who among you wants to go to the safe zone? The person in charge at the front glanced at us and said indifferently, as soon as I was about to take out the admission ticket and leave with them, Jade, who came running, grabbed my arm. When I turned around, I saw her looking at me with her big eyes. Her eyes were filled with innocence and panic. She looked pitiful and helpless. But her eyes never left the car behind me. I took out the admission ticket expressionlessly and handed it to the man just now. I'm going. As soon as I said this, Jade's voice of disbelief came. Her voice was so shrill that it was as if I had committed the most heinous crime. She held my arm tightly. Sister, don't you want me anymore? Do you think I'm dragging you down? There were very few people who got the admission tickets, and many people were gathered around the entrance, just wanting to find a chance to get a ticket. So as soon as she said this, many people turned their heads to look over, including the man checking the tickets. I was so angry that I laughed. Didn't you give the admission ticket to someone else? Did you listen to me when I tried to stop you? Jade looked at me without speaking. She was waiting for me to soften my heart and speak. She was destined to be disappointed. I deliberately asked. I managed to get these 2 admission tickets with great difficulty. You turned around and gave your own admission ticket to someone else. What could I do? Or do you want me to give you my admission ticket so that you can leave safely while I stay behind? Jade was hit right in the heart by my words and her face turned red. She showed that pitiful expression again, since she wanted to do a good deed and give the admission ticket to someone else. I won't care about her now. 5. Let's go. I turned around and followed the man to leave. The man took one more look at me and walked to the other side to get into the car. Seeing that I really didn't intend to care about her, Jade panicked completely. She pulled at me and refused to let go. Sister, I'm begging you. I'm scared. Before Jade could finish crying, she was interrupted by a voice. Wait a minute, I haven't gotten on the car yet. A little boy covered in dirt pushed past Jade and handed the crumpled admission ticket to the man. There was a group of people chasing after him. Don't run. Catch that kid. After the man checked and found it was correct, he motioned for the boy to get in the car with them. Sister, but the boy urged the team member who was driving. Hurry up and go. I forcefully shook off Jade, opened the car door and got in. Why didn't you think of being scared when you gave the ticket to someone else? This is the price you have to pay. After the car window was closed, Jade's crying, and the group of people who had just arrived were blocked outside. I closed my eyes to rest, and a voice came. Hello. I opened my eyes and looked towards the source of the sound beside me. It was that boy. There were still several footprints of different sizes on his coat. After realizing that he had no ill intentions, I replied, Hello, my name is Felix. What's your name? Isla, hee. I still have to thank you for the admission ticket. Hearing this, I became interested. I asked doubtfully, What do you mean? The boy excitedly explained, It's the admission ticket you gave to your sister. A group of them went up to snatch it. I'm small in stature, so I squeezed into the crowd, grabbed it and ran. They couldn't run as fast as me. After saying that, he patted his chest confidently. I smiled and said, So you have good skills. That's for sure. My dad is. Before he could finish his sentence, Felix stopped. What's wrong? I asked doubtfully. Nothing. I'll look out for you when we get to the safe zone. Okay. I just took it as a joke and smiled as I agreed. 6. When we stopped for a break on the way, I still saw Jade's figure in the departing motorcade. I heard from the people who were in the same car as Jade that she had been crying on the spot for a long time. Then the captain who was in charge of covering the rear saw her and casually asked a question. Jade tearfully told the whole story. When the man heard that Jade had actually given the admission ticket to the safe zone to someone else, he thought her kindness was precious. Coupled with Jade's delicate and pretty appearance and her tearful look, he softened his heart and took her along as well. As I listened to the other person's account, I couldn't help but sigh that my younger sister had some luck. After being reborn, I still couldn't change the course of events. That man was Everett, the powerful figure in the apocalypse who was attracted to Jade in my previous life. After being noticed by the powerful figure in the apocalypse, Jade finally got the opportunity to enter the Ark and lived until the end of the apocalypse. Is she that elder sister Isla? She's so cold-blooded. She actually left her own younger sister behind and ran away by herself. She's really heartless. In the apocalypse, that pretty little girl, if she hadn't been taken away by Ezra, who knows what would have happened to her. Fortunately, the little girl is lucky. Hey, that's her. When the motorcade was taking a break, I leaned against the car and closed my eyes to rest, listening to the people around whispering and pointing at me. I just sneered in my heart. In the apocalypse, the so-called kind-hearted saint is the most harmful thing. The admission tickets are limited, and no one should expect to rely on others, not to mention that Jade covered up the truth and the people around were deceived by her sweet words. However, no matter how much trouble Jade causes, as long as she doesn't bother me, it's fine. In this life, I just want to keep my life safe. Sister, look at the fruits I picked for you. My thoughts were interrupted, and I silently added Felix to the list of people I wanted to protect. 7. Unfortunately, I didn't sleep well that night. No, I woke up from my dream with a start, and my cry of alarm woke up the sleeping people. What the hell are you doing? We still have to travel tomorrow. Exactly. I want to sleep if you don't. I gasped for breath, my chest heaving up and down. After wiping the cold sweat from my forehead, I started to think about the dream I just had. In the dream, the motorcade encountered a zombie horde. I noticed it in time and took Felix to hide, unexpectedly. We were still discovered. Felix was bitten by 2 or 3 zombies in order to protect me, and then I woke up from the dream. I stared blankly ahead. A scene that I had never seen before appeared in my mind. People were sleeping on the ground around the campfire. Because Jade was sleeping too soundly, she rolled over to the side of the campfire and her hair caught fire. Jade shouted and tried to put out the fire, but most of her hair was still burned. Finally, it was extinguished with water by the people in the same car, but in reality, nothing had happened yet. As soon as I closed my eyes and was about to go back to sleep, I heard a familiar scream. My hair. I suddenly opened my eyes and looked at her in disbelief. The people around were woken up. Stop making noise. My hair. Jade kept trying to put out the fire with her hands, but it was useless. She could only watch helplessly as her hair was burned after the fire was put out. Jade touched her hair and silently shed tears. The crowd fell silent again, only I was so excited that I kept my eyes wide open and couldn't fall asleep. With the experience of being reborn, I had a bold guess in my heart. I awakened my superpower, and it was the superpower to predict the future. As soon as it was dawn, everyone packed their things and started getting into the cars. Felix rubbed his eyes and said, "Sis, let's go too." I quietly got up and followed the large group. On the way, I gave Felix a coin. "Flip it, and I can tell you which side we'll be facing up." "Stop kidding." Felix didn't believe it with his mouth, but his hands didn't stop. The moment the coin was tossed into the air, a vision of the future appeared again. The coin fell into the crack of the car. After seeing the future, I smiled and said, "Keep your hands steady, don't throw it and make it disappear." Felix smiled disdainfully and said, "How is that possible?" As soon as he finished speaking, a clear sound rang out. The coin fell into the crack of the car. Felix widened his eyes in surprise and exclaimed, "Sis, are you a jinx?" I rolled my eyes and said mysteriously, "In the future, Sis will look out for you." 8. Along the way, I found Everett and insinuated, "Why haven't we encountered any zombies on this journey? Isn't it a bit too strange?" The other person looked thoughtful after hearing this. I hope he took it to heart. Fortunately, we received the order in the afternoon. Everyone was on alert and accelerated their journey. This made me feel a little more at ease. From the start until now, Jade and I were like strangers. Because of Everett, Jade received more or less preferential treatment. In the situation of shortage of supplies, Jade still had quite a few compressed biscuits hidden in her bag, but she didn't know how to restrain herself. As time went by, everyone began to envy her. Jade didn't fit in, and Everett didn't take it seriously either. I used to protect her, but now without me, Jade was destined to endure the exclusion alone. Everett had to patrol during the day and would fall asleep as soon as he lay down at night. Jade had no one to talk to and was extremely bored. Therefore, Jade found me. "Sister, I have forgiven you." I stopped what I was doing and looked at her speechlessly. Jade stood in front of me with her back to the sun, and the sunlight gave her a halo of a kind-hearted saint. I stood up and was just about to leave when Jade grabbed my arm. "Sister, can you let me go to your car? Someone is bullying me, and there's no one to talk to me. I'm so bored." Jade stammered as she spoke. I sneered and said, "What's wrong? Isn't it good to be with the new backer you've hooked up with?" Almost everyone had heard about Jade's deeds. In the apocalypse, naturally, no one liked her for getting something for nothing and relying on her looks to get by. Jade obtained a lot of supplies by relying on Everett, but that was all. However, many men also had their eyes on her. Jade had red eyes and was too ashamed to speak. "Some men are getting fresh with me, and Everett Sister, only you can help me." I shook off her hand and said coldly, "No, the number of people is limited. If you come, someone won't be able to fit in the car." Upon hearing my refusal, Jade looked even more aggrieved. She bit her lip and played the pitiful card. "Then can you swap cars with me? You go to my car, and I'll go to yours." I had long been familiar with her tricks. I knew clearly that she was a bad person. I still couldn't help but feel speechless. If there were men on the car who wanted to get fresh with her, would I be safe if I went there? Perhaps feeling that her purpose was too obvious, Jade couldn't help but make up an excuse. "Sister, didn't you say you would protect me?" Under my gaze, her voice gradually became lower and lower until it disappeared guiltily. 9. After Jade left, a man came up to me. "Hey, you there?" I turned around and saw a fat and greasy man shouting at me. "Are you her elder sister?" Needless to say, her here referred to Jade. I ignored him, but he became even more enthusiastic and stroked his chin. "One elder sister and one younger sister. Don't you think you could be as gentle as your younger sister? You don't know how alluring your younger sister is. Hee." She made me unable to fall asleep at night. "What if you're willing to sleep with me? Then I'll let your sister go. How about it?" I said coldly. "You're dreaming." As I spoke, a plan came to my mind. I pretended to be angry but helpless. "My younger sister only has me to rely on. Don't bully her," I murmured to myself in a low voice. "In this apocalypse, if something happens, where can I go to seek justice? My sister pitied you for suffering and found a backer, but you don't care about her. It's all fate. I'd better accept it." As I pretended to cry and complain, I observed the other person. Seeing the man's thoughtful expression, I knew that the plan had succeeded. 10. At night, a scream came from the car where Jade was. When people arrived, the man from the daytime had already become a corpse. and Jade was huddled in the corner, still holding a bloody knife in her hand. A death occurred on the way back to the safe zone, which was a major event. More than a dozen people in the carriage were clamoring to drive Jade out. If we don't drive her out, what if she goes crazy and kills someone again? In the face of everyone's accusations, Jade kept crying and didn't say a word. No matter how Everett tried to comfort her, she wouldn't stop. Stop crying. What if you attract the zombies? Do you want all of us to die? Amidst everyone's chatter, finally someone couldn't stand it anymore and cursed, just make her pay with her life. Jade finally reacted and hurriedly searched for my figure in the crowd. When she saw me, she rushed over and sobbed, "Sister, save me. He was trying to rape me, so I killed him. I didn't mean to." I felt like laughing when I heard this and pushed Jade's hand away. My kind-hearted saint of a sister could actually kill someone. It seemed that she wasn't innately kind but just knew how to safeguard her own interests. She persistently grabbed me again and said, "Sister, can you help me? Help me drive these disgusting men out." As soon as I finished speaking, the men around were enraged. "You're spitting blood. Who knows if you were seducing others in the middle of the night?" "Exactly. You can let Everett sleep with you, but not others. What kind of chaste woman are you pretending to be?" They had been dissatisfied with Jade on ordinary days, and now it was out of control. Jade was so scared that she wanted to hide behind me. "Sister, believe me." I sidestepped to avoid her, exposing her to the sight of everyone. "Sister, even if you didn't mean to, you can't kill someone. You always ask me to understand you. This time, try to understand others too. Sacrificing you to appease everyone's anger isn't a loss." Jade looked at me in disbelief. My superpower worked again. I saw what was going to happen in the future. Jade's scream would attract a zombie horde. Then everyone would scatter in all directions like birds and beasts. I took the lead in covering her mouth and nose. Jade was stopped by me and could only make a woo-woo sound. I said viciously, "If you want to die, don't drag us with you." 11. Only then did everyone realize that Jade had just wanted to scream to attract the zombies. Everett walked over with an embarrassed expression and said, "Jade, calm down first." At this moment, someone walked up to Jade and raised their hand to slap her face. "If you want to die, I'll grant you your wish." As the person spoke, they pressed Jade to the ground and slapped her left and right. A scene appeared in front of my eyes again. I stopped it coldly. "Stop hitting her." Then I turned to Everett and said, "I have the superpower to predict the future. Now there's a zombie king coming this way. If we don't leave, everyone will die. Prepare to set off." After hearing this, Everett immediately gave the order. In an instant, everyone swarmed back into their cars. "Wait a minute, she can't come with us." Jade was kicked out of the car. Now, she also saw the situation clearly. She lay on the ground and pleaded, "Sister, take me with you. I won't make a sound again." I ignored Jade's plea. Instead, I got into the leading car and directed everyone to leave. 12. After arriving at the safe zone, I still saw Jade's figure. It's not false to say that I was annoyed. How could Jade be so lucky? Pa, if she hadn't clung on so desperately, she would really think she had the ability to come to the safe zone. Exactly. Why should we risk our lives to get the admission tickets? Well, she can just do some immoral things to get in. After getting out of the car, Jade followed at the end of the line, facing the humiliation from everyone. She didn't dare to make a sound, and I was taken to the base leader's office by Everett. I looked around but didn't see Felix's figure. "Have you seen Felix?" Everett explained upon seeing this. "Maybe he's just being childish. The base is safe, so don't worry. The most urgent thing now is to take you to see the leader." I followed behind Everett. Knock, knock, knock. After a few knocks on the door, a voice came from inside. "Come in." As soon as I opened the door, I saw a middle-aged man sitting on the chair. Felix, who had been nowhere to be seen just now, was now casually sitting on the desk. I was stunned when I saw this. Felix walked towards me with a smug smile. "Didn't expect that. I didn't lie to you. My dad is the base leader. In the future, the two of us can walk around the base as we like." Before Felix could continue speaking, he was interrupted by the man behind him. "Felix." Upon hearing this, I had the opportunity to take a closer look at the leader. He looked old, but his body was still strong. 13. "Thank you very much for saving my son. Felix told me everything. If it weren't for you." Thinking about the reason why Felix was able to get in the car in the first place, I couldn't help but feel guilty, and Everett said nervously, "Leader, why didn't you tell us? Otherwise, the child wouldn't have suffered so much." The man in the seat waved his hand indifferently and said, "This is a private matter. Moreover, I always thought this brat had already." Before he could finish speaking, tears welled up in the man's eyes. Felix walked behind the leader with a mature demeanor and said, "Well, old man, it's not too much to arrange a first-class room for my savior, is it? Haha, you brat, even without you, she can walk around the base as she likes." Upon hearing this, Felix was stunned. Everett smiled and explained to him, "Isla has the superpower of foreseeing the future. You were sleeping in the car yesterday and didn't know about it, thanks to Isla's prediction of the existence of the Zombie King. Otherwise, this trip would have ended in a complete disaster. Damn, you're really amazing, Isla. After the conversation, the leader extended an olive branch to me. The base needs you. If you have any difficulties, tell the base. Okay, after I agreed, the leader picked up the landline and dialed a number. Come to my office now, soon. A deep male voice sounded outside the door. Report, come in. The man was tall and big. As soon as he entered the office, the space seemed much smaller. Grayson, this is Isla. Hello. After greeting each other, the leader introduced the purpose of calling him here. Isla, starting today, you will join Grayson's superpower team and carry out missions with him. Yes, the leader joked. Aren't you afraid that I'll foist a burden on you? Obey the order. Grayson's serious appearance made me laugh. Good lad, Isla's superpower is predicting the future. It would be a pity not to make good use of it. Upon hearing this, Grayson indeed showed an incredulous expression. Even his demeanor became excited. I'll trouble you in the future. Welcome, 14. Half a month later, I returned to the safe zone with the team. After separating from Grayson and the others, I was blocked by Jade. It's her. I saw it clearly. I looked at Jade in confusion. Jade looked at me triumphantly and said, Sister, no matter how much you want to become stronger, you shouldn't steal the base's crystals. Under the apocalypse, resources are scarce. How can you be so selfish? Jade kept talking to herself and brazenly said, You should take it out first. I believe Brother Finian won't blame you, a strange man beside her said. Girl, look how reasonable your sister is. As long as you hand it over, I won't make things difficult for you. I couldn't bear it anymore and said, Jade, what are you slandering me for this time? What did I steal? Tell me. Finian was irritated by my attitude. Why can't you make good use of the opportunity when it's given to you? I've been watching the warehouse for so long, and I've never seen someone like you. You stole something but refused to admit it. Wasting your sister's good intentions, out of consideration for your sister's plea, I decided to let you off this time. I looked at Jade coldly and said, Do you have any evidence? Jade put down her crossed arms and said, I clearly saw you sneak into the warehouse last night, and you were holding something in your hand when you left. With such a fool beside me, I didn't even have the energy to argue. I wasn't even at the base last night. Can you use your brain before slandering me? 15? What's going on here? A voice came from outside the crowd. It was the Vice Captain Garrett. When he saw me there, he was surprised and said, Isla, why aren't you going back to rest? What are you doing here watching the commotion? Seeing how familiar I was with Garrett, Jade opened her mouth and started spreading rumors again. Even as the Vice Captain, you can't show favoritism. My sister must be punished for stealing a crystal today. I think she's just relying on the backer she found to act as an accomplice. Garrett became more and more confused and said, What? Crystals? Before Jade could be too pleased with herself, Garrett grabbed me and was about to take me to see the leader. Are you about to advance in level? Why didn't you say so earlier? You must have enough energy before advancing. How can one crystal be enough? Hurry up. If it's any later, something will go wrong. The base finally has a talent like you. Seeing this, both Finian and Jade were stunned. Jade still didn't give up and recounted it again. I'm saying that Isla stole the base's crystal last night. However, Garrett didn't listen and was determined to take me away. I held him back and said, No, I didn't take the crystal. Garrett said indifferently, It's just a crystal. Before he could finish his sentence, Garrett finally understood the situation. Are you saying that Isla gave up her own 300 high-grade crystals per month and went to steal the most ordinary crystal in the warehouse? Or are you saying that Isla took time out while killing zombies last night to come back to the base and steal the crystal? Jade seemingly didn't expect things to get out of her control, but there was nothing she could do. She bit her lip, on the verge of crying. You're showing favoritism. Before she could think of what to say, I took the initiative. Garrett, we'd better call the inspector, otherwise we'll be pestered by these villains. The reason why Jade dared to slander me so blatantly was nothing more than relying on the fact that the base's facilities were not perfect and there were no surveillance cameras. Coincidentally, a newbie in the inspector team could be of use. After the inspector came and understood the cause and effect, he arrested Finian. An ability user who could access other people's memories understood everything immediately after checking the memories of the two of them. Jade didn't expect there to be such a person in the base. Her lips trembling, she said, In the end, she couldn't find any excuse for herself. Finian and Jade were taken away and put in confinement. After being taken away for a certain distance, Jade shouted at me, Isla, why do you get to watch me live a hard life? I'm no worse than you. In order to prove herself unilaterally, Jade became the lover of the captain of an exploration team by relying on her body. Only then did she get the opportunity to follow the team to kill zombies outside the base. The ordinary people in the team could only get the least amount of points. Because they didn't have superpowers, they were at risk of death at any time when facing zombies. Jade widely publicized that I was her elder sister, coupled with the status of being the captain's lover. Although many people looked down on her, they still felt a bit afraid of her in their hearts. Therefore, taking advantage of the fact that the base's control was loose in that place, Jade got a lot of benefits. 16. Since the apocalypse had come for such a long time, the Zombie King had also evolved. Those who act later will suffer. The leader sent us and some teams out of the base to exterminate the Zombie King. To my surprise, the team that Jade was in happened to be among them. Before setting out, Jade deliberately swaggered in front of me. Didn't expect it, right? You just have a lousy superpower. Let's see how long you can be arrogant. After saying that, she was embraced by a man and left haughtily. Although Jade was beautiful, she was really stupid. My superpower is predicting the future. Nothing she does can escape my eyes. Everything is under my control. During the break, I hid in the dark with Grayson. Before long, we saw Jade's sneaky figure. She looked around cautiously and then took out a handful of white powder, intending to sprinkle it on the car where Grayson and I were. Before Jade could show a triumphant smile, Grayson pinned her to the ground. Let me go. Who are you? She turned her head and saw me. Sister, you're here too, Jade stammered, still hoping to get away with it. I looked at her coldly. We saw everything, Jade said guiltily. Saw what? Grayson snatched the bag from her hand and called the team doctor, Emerson. Check what she sprinkled on the car. Upon hearing this, Emerson gently dipped a little of the white powder on the car with his hand. He sniffed it under his nose, and his face immediately became serious. It is rosemary powder, which came from the southern base. Just a little bit of it can attract all the zombies around. Burn it quickly. Upon hearing this, the team member beside him quickly destroyed it. Even so, many zombies still came sniffing the smell. Fortunately, there weren't too many of them, and they were all dealt with soon. 17. After the crisis was resolved, Jade was still tied to a tree and couldn't get down. She kept struggling. Sister, I didn't mean to. I raised my hand angrily and slapped her. You're just stupid. I think Grayson should judge you. Jade shook her head with tears in her eyes. No. I interrupted her. I believe everyone will understand me, right? Who gave you this thing? Grayson gritted his teeth, as if he wanted to skin her alive. Jade's move was really vicious. If I hadn't discovered it in time with my superpower, the whole team would have been wiped out. The base would have lost a large number of ability users. Seeing that Jade refused to tell the truth, I pulled out a dagger and was about to scratch her face. I'll say, it was Finian. He said that as long as this powder was used, it wouldn't be a problem to kill Isla. I pressed the dagger close to her face. What else? He's a spy for the Tiger Roar. He told me this himself when he was drunk. I looked at Grayson in confusion. What is the Tiger Roar? Grayson explained. It's a criminal organization that has survived by killing and robbing since the apocalypse. I didn't expect them to set their sights on the base. I patted Grayson's shoulder reassuringly. The most urgent thing now is the Zombie King. We can put the rest aside for now. Grayson turned his gaze to Jade. This person can't be kept alive. I sentence you on behalf of the northern base. As he said that, he took out a pistol. Bang. The birds scattered. There was a bullet hole in the center of Jade's forehead. Her body leaned against the tree just like that. 18. With my help, the Zombie King wasn't as difficult to defeat as expected. You're a great hero of the base this time. On the way back, Garrett couldn't stop smiling. I originally thought we would lose a lot of brothers, but unexpectedly we managed to retreat safely. I looked at the base gate that was getting closer and closer. My heart couldn't help but feel excited. I went to see the leader and Felix, and Grayson led people to catch Finian, who was attempting to escape in the first place. He was shot dead on the spot. A month later, I predicted again that the Tiger Roar was about to arrive outside the city. After telling Grayson and the leader everything, the Tiger Roar was suppressed by force, and many ability users chose to join the northern base, and the last time I triggered my superpower was on an ordinary morning. I'm sick, and beating you can cure it. Since you're so kind-hearted, even if I beat you to death, you will surely understand me. No, Garrett waved his hand in front of me. Come back to your senses. What were you thinking about? As I laughed, tears came to my eyes. The apocalypse is coming to an end. Upon hearing this, Garrett was stunned for a moment. After reacting, Garrett happily ran around the field shouting, "The apocalypse is coming to an end." Isla predicted it. The apocalypse is coming to an end. Before long, the news that the vaccine had been successfully developed spread throughout the base. Story 2. The semester came to an end, and with summer vacation approaching, my parents decided to take just my sister on a trip. The tour only allows 3 people, so you'll stay home and keep an eye on things, they said. My sister had a smirk on her face, probably expecting me to look dejected, but I just scoffed silently in my heart. Go ahead, I thought. Hopefully, you won't come back, especially since the extreme cold apocalypse is just around the corner. Actually, signs of this impending apocalypse had been subtly present for about 6 months. Now, in the peak of August, temperatures are soaring up to 45 degrees, nearly reaching 50 degrees. For our small northern town, where the average summer temperature is 27 degrees and rarely exceeds 30 degrees, this is highly abnormal. What's even more bizarre is that just one day before it nearly reached 50 degrees, the temperature was below zero. In our town, winter temperatures of minus 20 or 30 degrees are normal. And it's typical for the temperature to be just a few degrees before summer hits in July or August. But it's certainly not normal for it to still be minus 20 degrees in July or August, and then overnight, the surface temperature dramatically spikes to over 40 degrees. This whole winter was off, with average temperatures reaching minus 40 degrees. I visited cities further north where winters can drop to minus 50 degrees, but our coldest winters only go down to minus 30. All these signs clearly indicate that something is terribly wrong, however. Most people didn't take these anomalies seriously. Last winter, it was only a few degrees below zero here, and it didn't even snow, so people were no longer surprised. But ever since I was young, I've been observant and cautious. I know that the world we live in is neither stable nor peaceful. The years of wearing masks, the issues with cherry blossom nuclear waste, it's always good to be prepared for the worst. The apocalypse might not be as far off as we think. After noticing the unusual weather patterns, I started paying attention to the subdued conversations online. On platforms like Weibo and TikTok, there were indeed posts about the impending extreme cold apocalypse. From these posts, it was clear that not just our city, but other cities were experiencing abnormal temperatures too. They all experienced extremely low temperatures that suddenly switched to unusually high ones. There were even posts from insiders claiming that the apocalypse was imminent. In these comments, many people were speculating. However, such discussions and posts were quickly censored and disappeared without a trace. All these signs convinced me that I wasn't being overly anxious. It seemed the world really was on the brink of a major change. To further validate my suspicions, I reached out to my best friend, Phoebe. Phoebe and I are very close, and her family is quite wealthy, being the richest in our area. Those with money and status like hers would definitely know something about societal changes. Sure enough, when I hinted at my concerns, Phoebe didn't hide anything from me. Paige, listen carefully. You know I have an uncle who works in a research institute. I'm not lying to you. The current heatwave is just a facade. The extreme cold apocalypse is indeed coming soon, she revealed. I couldn't help but laugh sarcastically at the screen. Me, liking the beach in our city, ha. That was just a trap set for them after confirming the apocalypse. Some sceneries I indeed can't experience with my own eyes. Those fleeting scenes of death might as well be appreciated by her on my behalf. Unlike their attitude towards me, Rebecca is the apple of my parents' eye, their precious pearl. It all started because my extremely superstitious parents had our fortunes told when Rebecca and I were born. The result was that my life path was deemed strong and overpowering, likely to overshadow my relatives. Rebecca, on the other hand, was born under a lucky star, extremely fortunate. From then on, our treatments were like heaven and earth. I grew up at my grandmother's house in the countryside, abandoned by my parents, while Rebecca was pampered like a princess. It wasn't until my grandmother passed away not long ago that I was brought back to this so-called parental home. But I couldn't bother dealing with them, so I moved to the dormitory at school to live, out of sight, out of mind. Now facing Rebecca's provocation, I'm no longer surprised, rather leisurely responding to her. Oh, then you should take a few more pictures. I heard Mom and Dad spend over $100,000 on a camera for you. Upon hearing this, Rebecca's pride swelled even more, as if she would lift her tail to the sky if she had one. Yes, Mom and Dad love me the most, just to show you. With that, she quickly walked inside and brought out that expensive camera. Seeing how much Rebecca cherished the camera, I couldn't help but smile. If Rebecca knew that her beloved camera had a micro-surveillance chip implanted in it, well, I wonder if she could still manage to smile. Bang bang bang. Just then, the house's front door was suddenly knocked on loudly. Rebecca jumped in fright, and then we heard my mother's voice outside. Who are you looking for? Does Rebecca live here? A fierce voice outside responded to my mom's question. Soon the door opened, and several menacing-looking men stormed in. I saw Rebecca tremble at the sight of the visitors. You damn bitch. We've given you so many days already. Pay up now. My mom was stunned by the scene, quickly stepped forward to protect Rebecca, and raised her voice at the men. Who are you people? My daughter is still a child. How could she owe you money? I'm telling you. If you dare to mess around, I'm calling the police. The leader seemed amused by my mom's words, took out his phone, showed a photo, and then said, a child, your daughter owes me a whole $13,000, and here's the IOU, clear and documented. My mom took a closer look, and indeed, it was Rebecca's handwriting. She became somewhat panicked and quickly asked Rebecca what was going on. Isn't it all because you agreed to buy me a camera? Then said something about business being bad recently, and that over $100,000 was too expensive. refusing to give me the money. You just want to go back on your word. What use do I have for a mom like you, if you won't give it to me? I had to borrow it myself. With the creditors at the door, Rebecca simply let everything out. Upon hearing this, my mom momentarily couldn't stand steady, tremblingly collapsing onto the couch. You dead child, haven't your parents always treated you well? She clutched her chest, scolding Rebecca, while the debt collectors watched menacingly. Isn't there still the money left by that dead old hag? Just use that to pay. Rebecca was referring to the inheritance my grandmother left for me before she passed away, totaling $500,000. My grandmother was the only relative who treated me well. Fearing that my parents wouldn't treat me kindly after her death, she left all her inheritance to me. Yet it was taken away by my parents while I mourned my grandmother day and night, heartbroken. I really didn't expect that my parents could actually be worse than animals. They never cared for my grandmother, not even shedding a single tear at her funeral, only thinking about how to get hold of grandma's estate. And this is exactly why I had to come home this time, for the impending apocalypse. Holding the will, I could naturally take them to court with a lawsuit, but the court dates would take too long. I can wait. But time cannot. After all, the apocalypse is about to arrive. Mom sat on the sofa, sighing deeply. Business at home had been bad recently, and she had planned to use that money to repay the loans, but now, the only option was to use it to deal with the immediate problems. Just as she entered the room where the safe was kept, I heard her scream from outside, "Where's the money? Why is it gone?" I peeked inside and saw the large safe was completely empty, not even a strand of hair inside. I wasn't surprised. I knew that the money was no longer at home. Although my visit was related to the money, it wasn't to retrieve it. Damn, no money and still trying to fool me. Boys, smash it up. The gang, like a whirlwind, hadn't even reacted before the house was being wildly smashed. Rebecca was also brutally beaten by them, unable to even get up. Give you 3 more days. If you don't pay up, I'll cripple one of your hands. The group came menacingly and left the same way, seeing Rebecca lying on the ground. Mom couldn't even bother to blame her and hurriedly took her to the hospital. The result was that Rebecca was severely injured, not only with fractures but even her face was slashed, disfiguring her. When my parents walked into the house one after another that evening, a fierce argument broke out. "Joshua, damn you, where did you spend that money without telling me?" Dad pushed Mom away, somewhat guiltily saying, "Are you crazy? What are you ranting about? Don't play dumb with me. Did you spend all the money Grandma left?" Mom relentlessly pursued the question, following Dad around. Dad clearly had something to hide, his words evasive, repeatedly trying to change the subject. "Don't beat around the bush. After that money was brought back, it was put in the safe. Only you and I know the safe's code. Even Rebecca doesn't know it. I haven't touched it. If not you, then who else? My Rebecca is lying in the hospital because of you, if you don't clear this up." "We are far from done," Mom continued her relentless questioning, and Dad was evasive, leading to an incessant quarrel between them. Fortunately, Mom still cared about Rebecca in the hospital, quickly packed a few clothes, and left. Dad, annoyed, sat in the living room and started smoking. I silently watched this drama unfold from the sidelines, a sarcastic smile curling at the corners of my mouth. Poor Mom. She still doesn't know the truth. I slowly walked up to Dad and showed him a photo from my phone. "Dad, do you think it's better to show this photo to Mom, or should it hit tomorrow's online headlines?" Seeing the photo on my phone, Dad's pupils dilated instantly. It was a cozy picture of him and a middle-aged woman. "How did you know about this?" Dad asked me, his voice trembling. The woman in the photo was a fairly well-known lecturer, and her husband was a city government leader. She had once given a lecture at our school, which is how I recognized her. I was quite interested in her class, and after the lecture, I submitted my details to sign up for more. She seemed startled when she saw my information, scrutinizing me and asking about my family in more detail. Growing up in such a family, that's how my cautious personality came about. I sensed something off about the woman and, as if possessed, I discreetly followed her. I overheard her on the phone, mentioning my father's name along with phrases about your daughter, which raised my suspicions. It turned out she was having an affair with my dad. Let me guess, Dad spent the $500,000 on her, right? If Mom finds out, that would unleash a storm, and that money was actually the inheritance Grandma left for me. "I still have the will," I said, my tone carrying a veiled threat. Sure enough, Dad's tone softened. "Paige, your aunt just needed some help to get by. I only lent her the money. Don't worry, I'll make sure you get it back when you start college." I scoffed internally. Yeah, right, as if I'd ever see that money. By the time he plans to pay me back, it'd be too late. Well, if the money doesn't come back, don't bother talking to me. And don't blame me for disregarding our father-daughter relationship. "You might as well wait for a court summons," I said, making a move to leave. Dad quickly stopped me. "Paige, really? I've just been tight on money lately. Can't you wait a bit? What does a kid like you need so much money for anyway?" Hearing this, I couldn't help but snicker to myself. I knew he couldn't pay, but getting the money back wasn't my goal. "Then Dad, give me ownership and management rights to Shangjia Supermarket. We'll call it even. How about that?" Shangjia Supermarket was a venture Dad and that woman had secretly started. Ever since I found out about Dad's affair, I knew this could be a leverage point in the future, so I kept a close eye on their dealings. They had secretly opened a supermarket, and Dad had diverted Grandma's $500,000 without Mom knowing, all to support his affair. I sat leisurely on the sofa, watching Dad struggle internally. Today was all just a trap I had set, starting from when Rebecca boasted about her new camera. Last time I was home, I heard Mom complaining about not being able to pay the suppliers. Where did the money for a camera come from? Rebecca, who goes to my school, often hangs out with questionable crowds. It didn't take a genius to figure out her money wasn't clean. Sure enough, I caught her being cornered in an alley by debt collectors, pressuring her to pay up. I anonymously tipped off the debt collectors about Rebecca's address to stir up trouble, accelerating the exposure of the missing $500,000. If I had waited any longer, Dad, cunning as he is, might have covered up the shortfall, but this situation was perfect for me to blackmail him into giving up the supermarket, crucial for survival in the looming apocalypse. After all, owning a supermarket is far more valuable than money in an apocalypse. I had visited the supermarket. It's a large warehouse store on the outskirts, stocked full of goods. If I took over, I could transport supplies unnoticed and save money on purchasing them myself. It was indeed a delightful thought. Fine, I agree. 6 weeks later, the apocalypse quietly began. Sister, we've arrived. The seaside is so beautiful. Looking at Rebecca's social media, a scarf covered the left side of her face, hiding a deep, gory scar. Indeed, she was following the path I had anticipated. Despite her injuries, she was resilient, even planning a trip to her city with a crutch. I wasn't surprised. After all, she had always boasted publicly, our city is bustling and expensive. Without savings, it's hard to visit, yet for the sake of appearances, she was pushing herself to go. Admirable spirit indeed. Go ahead, I hope your seaside trip in the apocalypse is a one-way journey. After learning about the imminent extreme cold world from Phoebe, Rebecca was showing off to me again. I deliberately posted a photo of a seascape in our city on social media, mentioning that I wanted to go to the beach. According to Uncle Phoebe, our city would be the first unfortunate city to face the extreme cold, and it would also be the coldest. Under the severe cold, the sea would freeze, and the cold air would blow inland from the sea, making the coastal areas colder than the inland areas. As a city near the coast, research predicted that our city would be the first to be hit by this extraordinarily strong cold wave, which would arrive with devastating force. The thought of our city being the first to suffer such a terrible disaster was truly frightening. Phoebe's father had reported this information, but it was dismissed as an exaggeration. Local posts and videos in our city were also quickly removed from online platforms. As expected, the extreme cold arrived swiftly and soon hit our city. This cold wave spread quickly, and within a few days, the entire country was plunged into an apocalyptic state. What kind of terrible weather is this? It's freezing to death. Think of something fast. I sat on a warm heated Kong, eating spicy hot pot, watching the surveillance footage on my phone. In the video, I could see my mother, wrapped in a thick blanket, shivering as she spoke. Earlier, I had secretly taken the camera while Rebecca was away and asked Phoebe to have it modified. A tiny chip monitor was added to the modified camera, making the audio and video clear. And the battery life was extremely durable, lasting 3 to 4 months in the low temperatures of the apocalypse. After Rebecca arrived in our city and boasted to me as usual, I pretended to be envious and asked her to take more photos and videos for me. This was to entice her to keep the camera on, allowing me to monitor their every move continuously. Now, with the sudden drop in temperature, Rebecca and my parents were all huddled in blankets inside a hotel room, not even managing to turn off the camera. It's so cold. And you're asking me to find a solution. Why don't you think of something? I told you, with things like this, why bother traveling and making trouble? Dad muttered, clearly dissatisfied with Mom's nagging. Before, Dad had sweet-talked Mom about an investment project that promised to double their money, which calmed her down. My mom, deeply sympathetic towards her daughter, seeing Rebecca so pitifully hurt, also agreed to her request to continue traveling. We're about to freeze to death. The food we brought is gone. Aren't you going to buy some? Do you want to starve us, even in such freezing conditions? Mom was relentless. You better go before Rebecca gets too hungry. The fortune teller said that Rebecca is born under a lucky star and will bring wealth and fortune to her family and parents. Initially reluctant, Dad wrapped himself in a blanket and left the room after hearing Mom's words, sitting on the warm Kong, wearing 3 thick down jackets. I ate my spicy hot pot and watched the surveillance. Seeing the scene, I knew what they were thinking. It has been 10 days since the apocalypse began. Peace and stability lasted only the first few days. The order collapsed almost instantly as the temperature dropped to nearly -70 degrees. In our region, winter temperatures can reach -30 degrees. which is already very cold. The north wind cuts like a cold knife across one's face. It's not just a metaphor. Rebecca was well prepared, not only bringing a lot of snacks but also bringing winter clothes. Fearing the drop in temperature at night by the sea, initially surprised by the changeable weather, they were not too panicked, as the temperature was only around 20 to 30 degrees, but now, with a little sense of crisis. Anyone could realize that it was time to stock up on more food and warm clothing before chaos ensued, but my parents are quite self-assured. Why worry? It was the same before the start of summer this year, right? It was freezing cold, and then overnight it turned scorching hot. If you ask me, there's no need to panic. At that time, my mom was still leisurely wearing her cotton clothes, lying in bed watching TV dramas, naturally. I knew that the reason my parents were so calm was simply because they felt secure. They firmly believed in fate. They believed that even if it were the end of the world, as long as they had Rebecca's lucky koi-like fate, they would surely be led by the lucky star to turn danger into safety. I really find it hard to comment on this. Let them be. I don't need to intervene much. Sooner or later, they'll be the architects of their own downfall. 7. However, before any issues arose with Rebecca, I faced some trouble first. After taking over the supermarket from my dad, he introduced me and announced my role. Using my new position as an excuse, I said that the supermarket needed some restructuring and would be closed temporarily for a month. I also made an effort to win over people's hearts. I distributed 2 bags of rice and flour and 8 large boxes of instant self-heating meals and canned food to each employee, and even arranged for these to be delivered to their homes. I would have liked to give more, but I knew that as the boss, providing these benefits was already generous, and giving more might arouse suspicion. I myself drove a large truck, transporting supplies back to the house where my grandmother and I once lived. It's a 2-story self-built house in a rural village, and the place I chose as my refuge for the end times, since the house wasn't very valuable. My parents always overlooked it and didn't really care about it, in extreme cold conditions. High-rise city residences aren't suitable for survival, because in times of extreme cold, the most important thing is heating. When the time comes, water and power outages are inevitable. To stay warm, you either rely on solar power or burn coal, but who can guarantee that the sun will always be out during cold weather, and burning coal in a high-rise isn't very effective. Not to mention it can easily cause fires and carbon monoxide poisoning, which is extremely unsafe. Thinking this way, the self-built rural house left by my grandmother was the most suitable, as it's in the countryside of the north. Almost every household has a cellar, and naturally, so does our home. It's perfect for storing vegetables and meat. After refurbishing the old house inside and out, the next task was to raise the height of the courtyard walls. The walls of rural courtyards are very low, allowing anyone to see inside at a glance. According to Phoebe, this apocalypse could last at least a year, so naturally, the more supplies, the better. It's best to be prepared. I also made use of the outdoor yard, which, in extremely low temperatures, acts as a natural freezer, but this meant that the walls of the yard definitely needed to be heightened and reinforced. Besides raising them, I also surrounded them with a thick electric fence and installed an alarm system. At this moment, there was a disturbance outside. Clearly someone was triggering the alarm. 8. It's him. Mom, are you sure you saw it right? I was watching the surveillance at the gate, and I saw a flashy-looking hoodlum sneaking around outside my house. Ouch, definitely no mistake. Aunt Lynn also told me that damn girl is back. It was the Liu family, mother and son from our village. Liu's men are the village head, and his son, Liu Zhong, is a hoodlum who spends his days teasing cats and dogs and harassing decent women, not even sparing young girls. Back when I lived in the village, Liu Zhong used to harass me frequently. When my grandmother was alive, he once came to propose with just 2 chickens, wanting to marry me. My grandmother chased him out with a broom. I knew I couldn't keep my return a secret, so I didn't try to hide it. I only told people that I came back because I really couldn't stay at home any longer. Everyone in the village knows about my family's situation, so they didn't say much when they saw me return. Moreover, the noise I made while repairing the courtyard walls made it obvious to everyone. Just like a fire starting and white smoke rising at the end of the world, I observed Liu Zhong and his mother knocking on the door, trying to guess their intentions. The season is exactly when every household in the countryside stocks up on coal and winter supplies. Usually, people buy coal and winter supplies like cabbage off-season because the prices are cheaper then. At this time, every household is hauling with trucks. So it's nothing unusual. That's also why I dared to choose the countryside and expose my whereabouts, because everyone is stocking up on supplies now, and with enough food to last at least a year, it wouldn't attract much attention. But looking at Liu Zhong and his mother, dressed warmly, it seemed they weren't here for supplies. This girl suddenly comes back home. Her family must be lacking food and clothing. When the time comes, I'll pressure her with supplies and see if she dares to disobey me. This scoundrel clearly hasn't realized the gravity of the situation. Even now, he's still thinking about these things. Fine then, since he dares to come here, I'll settle both new and old scores with him. I pressed the remote control button for the electric fence, and he was caught off guard and stunned by the shock. Wow, Paige, I knew you were at home. Hurry up and open the door, let the men in to keep you company. Lu Zhong kept fiddling with the lock, his mouth curling into a sly smile. Watching his skilled lockpicking, I frowned. Lu Zhong is a petty thug, used to petty thefts and lockpicking. Such tasks aren't difficult for him, if he really managed to get in. Although I have knives and weapons, the physical disparity between men and women means I should avoid a direct confrontation unless absolutely necessary. Thinking this, my eyes fell on a table nearby. There lay a crossbow I made myself, specifically for self-defense in an apocalyptic scenario. And now it would come in handy. I went upstairs, opened the window, and positioned myself to get a clear view of Lu Zhong. The crossbow is pre-sharpened to utmost sharpness. I have practiced regularly in my free time, perfecting my aim. Now, dealing with Lu Zhong seemed like an easy task. With a swoosh, the bolt pierced through his chest, and Lu Zhong fell to the ground with a thud. Mom, listen, why is it so chaotic outside? What are you guys doing? Similarly, a comparable situation unfolded with Rebecca. I had just mustered the strength to drag the unconscious Lu Zhong to his doorstep. In this freezing weather, the hospital had long since fallen into disarray and was without power, unable to operate. With all the blood he lost, there was no hope for him. And just as I got back home, I heard Rebecca's screams coming from the surveillance feed. I leaned closer to my phone, trying to see what was happening. A group of menacing men had burst into Rebecca's room, the leader looking sinister. Despite the ice on their eyebrows and hair, they were dressed in thick coats. As soon as they entered the house, they subdued Rebecca and her mother, while the others searched the room. Her father wasn't inside. He must have been out looking for food, as the weather grew colder. The food they had brought was already finished, and their coats were no longer sufficient. I thought they wouldn't last many days, but they proved to be resilient. Her father went out daily to look for food, sometimes finding a little, other times coming back empty-handed. My parents had wrapped Rebecca in several thick quilts from the hotel, leaving themselves looking rather underdressed by comparison. I wasn't surprised by this, as they have always truly doted on Rebecca, but I wasn't worried. I knew my family well. Neither my parents nor Rebecca are shrewd, often appearing foolish due to their inexplicable actions. In the chaos of this apocalyptic world, they were nothing but easy targets. That's exactly why I had orchestrated this situation. I knew that in this apocalypse, whether they died from the cold and hunger or from the collapse of social order and the ensuing human malevolence, they wouldn't escape. The group of people we were dealing with was clearly a product of these apocalyptic times. Ah, Big Brother, we have nothing left, no food. Please, let us go, my mother pleaded, kneeling before the men. The chaos had lasted for days, and supermarkets, even those further away, had been completely looted. The group also resided in the hotel and had started to raid the floors after the extreme cold hit. Rebecca and my parents, staying on a higher floor and keeping to themselves, were oblivious to the outside world until the crisis hit them unexpectedly. Hey, who said we have nothing? What's this? Just then, my father arrived with a bag of goods. Luckily, he had found a bag full of food today, but upon seeing the food, the group rushed him, knocked him down, and took everything. Ah, how useless can you be, not even able to protect this little bit of food? What use is a father like you? I'm starving. Rebecca angrily shook my father. She hadn't eaten in days, and the little supplies they had managed to find were now stolen. Already exhausted and hungry, my father couldn't take Rebecca's complaints anymore and slapped her to the ground. It's all for you. If it weren't for your insistence on coming here on vacation, we could have been comfortable at home. Why would we need to endure this? You think your dad is useless? Those guys just now were capable enough to snatch our food. Why don't you go and find them to be your dad? My father's words, though said in despair, struck a chord. I saw Rebecca, who had been crying, suddenly look thoughtful upon hearing this. The next day, after my father had left, I saw Rebecca, who usually stayed in bed, start to pay attention to the noises in the hallway. When she saw the group from yesterday pass by, she surprised and frightened my mother by willingly inviting the leader in. She grabbed the man, hugged him, and began kissing him, muttering that she would stick with him from now on if he could just provide her with some supplies. The man, initially amused and willing to comply, was shocked when he lifted Rebecca's scarf and saw the hideous scar. Damn, trying to sell yourself looking like that, shameless, he remarked. Clearly frightened, he pushed Rebecca away forcefully. She couldn't brace herself and fell to the ground with a cry. That fall was disastrous. She had multiple fractures from a previous beating, including in her legs and ribs. Struggling with the injuries and compounded by days of hunger and cold, she was pushed harshly and fell to the ground, unable to get up. Ah, Mom, come help me. I can't feel anything. I can't move, she cried. Just then, my father returned, and together they carried Rebecca back to the bed. I watched the scene from behind the surveillance, pondering the unfolding events. Rebecca was probably incapacitated after that. It was extremely amusing. Thank you to my parents and sister for putting on such an entertaining show during these tough end times. I timely spoke through the surveillance, causing the trio to freeze momentarily before searching for the source of the voice. Little did they know, the surveillance was hidden in the camera Rebecca had bought with a high-interest loan. Paige, what are you up to? Come out here right now, Rebecca kept shouting incessantly, with our parents red-eyed, frantically pacing around. Oh dear sister. Why the rush? Just check your phone, I've sent you a gift. Not entirely foolish, Rebecca and the others had turned off their phones to conserve battery for crucial updates. Upon turning on her phone, a flurry of multimedia messages popped up. They were all pictures I sent to Rebecca, featuring recent delicacies like hot pot, lamb skewers, and more. There was also a photo of me, cozy under a thick blanket by a warm stove, smiling brightly at the camera. Seeing this, the three of them screamed in unison. Paige, you actually have food, and you're eating so well, Mom said bitterly. You're living comfortably while watching your parents suffer like this. Aren't you going to come and get us? What a pity. I just wanted to show you, to quench your thirst by thinking of plums. I'm not in the mood to help you out. The trio cursed at me continuously until they ran out of energy and slumped to the ground, with Mom and Rebecca eventually breaking down in tears. Paige, please, help your mother, I'm really starving. It was indeed rare for my mother to plead so humbly. Suddenly, an idea popped into my mind. All right, seeing how pitiful you are, I'll tell you, my best friend's family is wealthy. Even in these times, they could send a helicopter to pick you up. Hearing this, their eyes lit up with hope. But I changed my tone. Mom, you always favored my sister over me and bullied me, which I'm very unhappy about. Getting the hint? Mom hesitated for a moment, then suddenly slapped Rebecca across the face. Paige, are you satisfied now? I scoffed. Mom, still biased, just a light slap. It seems you're not sincere about wanting to return, then just suffer there. The trio became frantic, and before they could react, Dad, using all his strength, grabbed Rebecca by the collar, threw her down, and began to slap her face repeatedly while cursing. I always knew you were troublesome, always opposing your sister. I'll beat you to death. As he spoke, he continued to bang Rebecca's head against the floor, causing her to cry out in pain. After a while, Dad stopped, his tone sycophantic. Paige, is this enough? Dad promises never to favor your sister again. All the family wealth will be yours. Hearing this, I felt the irony. Truly beast-like parents. See, Rebecca, did you see that? It seems Mom and Dad don't really love you. They just sold you to those men, and now they're ready to sacrifice you for their benefit. Tisk tsk, so much for the love from the parents you always bragged about. It's nothing really, and you are truly pitiable. After saying this, I logged off, ignoring their further calls. Rebecca's most cherished belief was her parents' affection for her. But now all that proved to be as insubstantial as flowers in a mirror or the moon's reflection on water. A truly devastating blow. From then on, I never spoke again, just silently watched them through the camera, and they never discovered the source of the surveillance. Just as I expected, Rebecca ended up paralyzed, confined to her bed, unable to care for even her basic needs, already lacking food and clothing. Having to care for a paralyzed patient was indeed adding frost to snow. One day, unable to bear it any longer, Dad, Mom came over and said, "Do you see her as a lucky star anymore? We can't let her drag us down any further." So, my parents decided to give up on Rebecca. They stopped providing food for her and no longer bathed or groomed her. Rebecca died in such a disgraceful state, bathed in what was supposedly the last of my parents' affection. But when there's a first, there will be a second. Now, their source of food depended solely on Dad going out to find whatever he could. As the apocalypse deepened, the competition for resources became fiercer, and the food Dad could find grew scarcer. At that point, selfish Dad, to preserve the little resources he had, also gave up on Mom and strangled her to death. One day, a weakened Dad went out in the cold to find food and never returned. I knew then that these family members, who once ignored me and pressured my sick grandmother for the whereabouts of her wealth, causing her death from distress, would never return. Finally, I had avenged myself and my grandmother. 12. The severe apocalyptic conditions lasted nearly 3 years before they barely came to an end. Fortunately, I had almost emptied the entire Shengjia supermarket in advance, stockpiling enough supplies for 7 or 8 years, so I managed to live quite comfortably. After the apocalypse ended, I inherited my parents' estate and actively participated in volunteer work for post-disaster reconstruction. There, I also met Phoebe, who was a volunteer as well, with everyone united. This land will once again thrive with vibrant life.